Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho. Today is Tuesday, August 4th, 9 p.m. Pacific. If you're watching on the East Coast, it's already tomorrow. But here we are drafting some best ball teams, late night drafts. We'll probably do at least two, maybe three. But without further ado, vámonos muchachos, let's begin. All right. We're smoking already. I'm going to preface this because tomorrow I think I might piss some people off. I'm going to take a tolerance break. I do not have any more weed after this bowl. I am going to finish it on this stream, and tomorrow I will begin my tolerance break. So if you're popping in later, maybe tomorrow, maybe a few days from now, and you're trying to peer pressure me to smoke weed, I may let you down. But it will be back. All my breaks are always temporary. I never know exactly how long, but I will be taking a little break from the weed after tonight. So if you want to smoke with me, now is the time. We will definitely smoke again in the future, but making a choice. It is what it is. But we're going to be drafting tonight, like I mentioned. Let me bring in the chat. I don't think I set up the filter real quick. Yeah, I skipped that part. Let me get that. It's only going to take a second. There it is. Okay. What's up, K-Space? How we doing? Let's fucking go. Indeed. I'm excited too. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for watching our stream with Who Hames earlier. Fun discussion on some receiver rooms. I missed about a 5-minute period with my Wi-Fi on the fritz. But here we are tonight. Hopefully it does not become an issue. Hopefully the stream can stay all night long. But are we doing a pit bull? Maybe our last draft will be a pit bull. But I think I'm going to hop into the puppy for the sake of budgetary reasons. There's $100,000 available in the puppy. I want a few cracks at it. I'm going to do a few puppies. The final size is pretty huge. I'm not in love with this contest structure. A 2 out of 12, 1 out of 10 is perfectly fine. But this 1 out of 5 down to 750. Who Hames mentioned this on his channel earlier. He's actually not entering this contest. I would have preferred a smaller final. It's a little bit annoying to have a massive final like that. But I will say, the min cash in the final is still 400. That's not nothing. But if you're going to max this contest, you're going to do all 150 entries, you have to finish at least top 200 just to get all 750 back. So that is not always worth your time. I would not max this contest at all. But do I want a few cracks at the apple? Yeah, a few of them for sure. However, it looks like if you only make week 16, you only get $25. So if you do 5 of these entries and one of them advances to week 16, only then will you get your money back. So we have to make the final, but if we do make the high-end threshold, oh boy, it's actually not that bad. Even if you finish 100th, $1,000 for 100 place, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Meanwhile, if you finish top 10, you get 10K. First place is 100,000. There are some interesting elements of the payout structure here, but you have to finish top 100 for it to get interesting. So that's what we're shooting for. Make sure you build your team with week 17 in mind and try to get those stacks, try to get those bringbacks, try to target the matchups you like. You do want to look at week 17 like more of a DFS slate in this contest. Keep that in mind. But the Dolphins are not on this list for an obvious reason, K-Space. The poll, the integrity of the poll will be maintained by only offering the Bills and the Patriots. The Dolphins are not in contention for the division this year. I know you're a Dolphins fan, I'm sorry, but let's be real. The Dolphins and the Jets not in contention for the division this season. But what's up, Chad? Nice to see you. Your Fimps tonight. Good to see you. Ham Daily. Yo. Hope you had a ham sandwich today. Hope you enjoyed. Let's fucking go. Indeed. Yeah, Iron Throne. You're on the East Coast, so technically it's a midnight stream, but appreciate you popping in here. I assume this is Ruben, the FF nerd, and shout out the Iron Throne League. I will be in it this season, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yo, Mackin HD 777. Appreciate the little super chat here. What's better, third or fourth pick? I'd rather have Jamar Chase if I'm going to be locked into receiver in round 1. I'd rather have pick 3 for sure. I think I trust Jamar Chase a little bit more, but some people still like Puka a little bit more. But I don't think your second round pick gives you a big advantage. What would that be? Pick 21 versus 22. That is more so the tiebreaker, and I don't see much of a difference there. So I would go with the third pick. I think you get whoever you want at receiver. If you prefer Puka, you can just take him at 3, but you actually have access to Jamar Chase. And then on occasion, some dumbass doesn't take Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. It's a more valuable pick for sure in a 10-team league. You do get a running back you like in the second round, but in a 12-teamer, give me pick 3. I'll take Jamar Chase. But, yo, what's up, Mr. Mufasa? Si venya, I believe that's how it goes. But, all right, we're going to enter this puppy. We caught up with the chat. Thank you, everyone who's here with us. We got 20 people watching. If you're in the beginning, you have a chance to hop into this puppy 3 with me. I am drafting in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Based on the delay, we should be able to get it in here. It is insta-filled. Insta-fill. I hope you got in during the countdown. We get pick 8. One of my favorite spots. My most drafted spot this entire summer. I am heavily weighted towards pick 8. So a lot of experience. Hopefully we know what we're doing at pick 8 a bit more than other spots. But I will say, pick 8 used to be kind of easier. You used to have access to Omarion Hampton, and several running backs would fall a little bit earlier in the contest. But we got Bong Dong 69. Holy shit. What a username. The aura of pick 1. Bong Dong 69. Wow. That is impressive. If anything, we can just give pick 1 the chip. Not only is he Bong Dong 69, he got pick 1. Pays off to have a username like that. But Jantara, our boy, hopped in this one. What's up, Jantara? You have pick 2. Bruno 99. No Brain X El Nando in here. Kyle, the Finns fan. Hockey Hooligan, I believe you might be watching. Maybe it's a coincidence, but I believe we've drafted with Hockey Hooligan in the past. I got pick 8. Go Horns right next to me at pick 9. What's up, Ryan? Jackson Duffy at pick 10. How we doing? Lafferty Daniel at pick 11. I assume Daniel Lafferty was already taken. But then GPA X3 has pick 12. Pulling up the caboose. Good luck, everyone. Good luck. Ideally, one of these two teams that advances will make the final. That is the good omen I like to put on these drafts. Whether it's me or someone else, whichever team advances, one of those two, let's pray, makes the final. But gotcha, Ruben. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. All right, so Amon-Ra goes, McCaffrey goes. I'm just going to get it out of my system. I don't give a shit. I've pulled them up plenty of times. I'm going to do it here today. Give me Omarion Hampton at pick 8. Let's do it, shall we? Like I was saying, pick 8 used to be easier. You used to get Hampton at 17. That is not that common anymore. It happens on occasion, but I know I'm going to draft a few teams in this contest. It's my first entry at all. We are going Hampton at pick 8. We are just locking it up, and it was actually the right move. It was the correct move. I was not going to get him. There it is. Go Horns. Wanted Hampton. Not today. Not today, son. Not with your boy. Nice and blunt. If anything, you're right, best ball on call. Go Horns missed Hampton by 1. You missed this lobby by 1. It is time for a rip, but I am on the clock. Derrick Henry's there. Yeah, I like this a lot. 2 second-round picks that I really trust. These are 2 of my most invested in running backs overall, especially in terms of dollars spent entry fee wise. I love Hampton the second. I love Derrick Henry. We get both of them. We are chilling. We are in a good spot. I love the Hampton Derrick Henry start. How many people fucking have that? Not many, and it feels pretty strong. Not gonna lie, it feels very, very strong. Maybe I'm biased, but I like it a lot. All right, let's take a rip though. Let's do it for our boy Best Ball on Call, friend of the channel. I was watching the Tim Dillon show the other day, and he made me crack up. Obviously, Tim Dillon's hilarious. I don't know if you guys like Tim Dillon, but one of my favorite comedians in the modern era as of today. But was watching the show, and he makes a lot of political commentary, and he says this a lot, but like the term friend of the show can kind of be thrown around. Like when I say it, I always mean it. Like, you know, no one that's been on the channel is not a friend of the channel. But on the Tim Dillon show, he's talking about Lindsey Graham and the way Lindsey Graham, friend of the show, and then talks about how he had a dominatrix walking him with a leash in Israel. Lindsey Graham, good friend of the show. Rest in peace, motherfucker. Anyways, I don't think anyone is really going to bat for Lindsey Graham, but that shit made me crack up. Yeah, Lindsey Graham, friend of Tim Dillon's broadcast, I'm sure. But the Iron Throne says, I'm Bills all the way this season for AFC East. Sorry, May. The schedule was so good for the Pats last season. There has to be some regression, you would think. But then the A.J. Brown addition, that's interesting. The Joe Brady coaching situation for the Bills, I think they probably win the division, but I don't think it's a guarantee. I worry about their chances to win the Super Bowl with a rookie head coach. But then you also factor in Mike Vrabel and all of that drama that, like, maybe that just gets thrown under the rug and it never really plays a factor. But I can't imagine that is never a distraction, you know? Kind of some weird vibes. I would also put my money on the Bills. If I had to pick one, I think I'd go Buffalo. I think so. But appreciate that, Case Mace. Smash that like button indeed. Have I used the Bag Manager draft tool? I don't use any tools. It's all noggin on this one. I look at my exposures, but I don't keep track of them a lot. I want to feel out every team in the moment and just go back and peruse the exposures on occasion. But this is interesting. At pick 32, Devontae Smith is still here. I'm not fully sold that he is worth this pick, but let's take him here today. Jalen Waddle went at 31. That's pretty interesting. That's notable. As we enter August, it's time to just get your guys. So if you feel that strongly, why not? But yeah, I mean, I took Hampton at 8. Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? What's up, John Tart? Yo, you have pick 2. Good luck. Badges in the overflow. Good luck. Good luck for everyone in the overflow. But should get Kenneth for week 17 matchup. I would have, bro. But nope, not on this one. He goes 16. Gohorn sniped me. And I do not get Hampton Walker. I get Hampton Henry. And that feels just as good. That also checks out. Ain't no issue with that combo there. But Ladd went at 33. Brees, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Tet McMillan, Javante Kyron, Double Williams, and then Allen goes 40. Allen goes at pick 40. Damn. The running back market's interesting. Running back is looking a little different these days. Y'all might not like this decision, but I'm actually going to pull up Devontae Adams. We're going to go double Devontae. Not the worst strategy. And I will be able to pair up Devontae with another 5th round pick. That is a little bit unique. But I'm also not that convinced that round 4 has that much of a difference to the beginning of round 5 at this position. So Adams, I think you can totally warrant going here. We are getting a team that's usually built on the left side of the board at receiver. Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams, typically something that maybe team 3 would build. And then we also have a unique pairing with that Hampton Henry combo. So this team is just very, very unique, very different. We'll see what happens, but who knows? Yeah, almost Ruben. Very close, but virtual Virtual handshake, Anthony. Virtual handshake. David says, "Fuck the Bills." The divisional rivalries, they never die. But so far, there is some love for the Patriots. The poll has gotten a few votes for the Patriots, but for the most part, it is heavily weighted in favor of Buffalo. Yo, Danimal, how we doing? What's up? Nice to see you on this evening. Yeah, a solid fall on Devontae. I could still see T. Higgins be more valuable, even Garrett Wilson. I'm not actually completely sold on Devontae Smith here. I think you could argue for him in the 4th round. Me and Who Hames have discussed this. If you want to check out that stream, I believe it was on his channel 2 weeks ago. We talked earlier today on his channel as well. I highly recommend the replay value on that. Some valuable, interesting discussions, some takes on different wide receiver rooms that are ambiguous. We talked about 12 of them in about an hour 15 minutes, roughly that much time. But we've talked about Devontae in the past. He's a fine pick. He's a fine pick. We'll see. But to be fair, I'm a Bucs fan, so I don't care much about the Bills versus Pats, but I do love Josh Allen. It's hard not to be a Josh Allen fan. It's hard not to be. But Best Ball Cabal pulls up friend of the show, Devontae Adams. Yeah, exactly. I share a name with Devontae Adams. It's my first name. It's his last name. He is plural Adam. I am the singular Adam. But it is kind of nice to take someone who has your name in theirs. There's also that. But the plan was just to get a little bit different, pairing him with someone also in the 5th. And I think one of these receivers is always a viable pick. DJ Moore goes to Hockey Hooligan. I'm going to ignore Bucky Irving. I think I'm just going to take Christian Watson. But probably my favorite active player in the NFL. In terms of your viewing experience, hard to find a more entertaining player than Josh Allen. If he was the quarterback for your franchise, you would be so excited every single week. I don't think there's a team in the league that wouldn't have, like, I guess the Chiefs. I guess if you ask the Ravens, they're not going to go off of Lamar. Neither of them have won a Super Bowl, so I doubt the Ravens are really going to tell you they don't want Lamar. But, like, secretly, you could probably trade Allen onto any team in the NFL other than the Chiefs, and the franchise would be a little excited. They'd be a little excited. They would not be upset, that's for sure. Here, though, I think it would make some sense to take Jalen Hurts. A lot of people take him unstacked, and I have a feeling that Mekhi Lemon might make it back to me. So I have seen Jalen Hurts fall to pick 80 before, but we have Devontae on this one, so just getting the stack. It also lines up pretty well on this side of the board. Take a Dallas Goedert later. That is always a pick I like. So betting on the Eagles, I'm willing to do it. I actually have a lot bet on the Eagles, just maybe not always these two particular players. It's still a stack I don't want to completely ignore, and we'll see what goes on. But the singular Adam sounds important. At least to me, it's important. But at least it's mostly just accurate. But definitely, it has that nice ring to it. You could have all of the Adams, or you could just have the Adam. This goes for anything. Once you single out something that was plural, it does become important. But Go Horns, damn, you missed out on Hampton. You missed out on DJ Moore. Just the luck of the draw. If you had pick 7, you would have had both. But no, you got pick 9. You didn't get either. The Adam correlation got to be worth something, right? But Peter says Lemon been falling today with the hammy. Looks like El Nando at pick 5 did not hear the news. El Nando likes Lemon at 68, even unstacked. I suppose. It is worth noting, if you are on Drafters, a different website, you can get Mekhi Lemon at 92. Mekhi Lemon is a consistent late 8th round pick over on Drafters, which is full PPR, so that kind of values the receiver position a little bit more. That might be telling a little bit on how Mekhi Lemon really should be valued. If anything, it kind of says maybe he'll score more touchdowns than rely on target volume, but I've always kind of felt a little bit down on Lemon in the 6th round. I kind of believe he's more of a late 7th. If you told me there's not much of a difference by the end of the season between him and Josh Downs, wouldn't be that shocked. But in this one, Downs went 73. Damn, bong dong. Not fucking around. Goes QJ Josh Downs at the 6-7 turn. Very interesting. I could stack up Herbert with Hampton. I never am upset with that. So I'll just queue it up. It's typically my selection in round 7. I did not get Mekhi Lemon, and I don't really like any of these picks. I'm not that excited about most of these receivers. I feel like they're all pretty flat, and whoever's still there in the next round is someone I like. But I have Hampton. I think that's a very underrated stack. If I told you you could have Austin Eckler with Justin Herbert like 3-4 years ago, you would take that like money in the bank. And I think that's really the true potential of Hampton and his role in the offense. Herbert loves the check down to the running back. Last time we saw Hampton and Herbert in the regular season, week 17, I was at that game. Hampton caught 8 receptions. Against the Texans, they needed him desperately. So I think he's a very valuable asset. And in the Mike McDaniel system, you can't tell me anyone else will be operating in the Devon Achane role, at least in the passing game. So I could see 5+ catches for Hampton this season. I think there's a world where 80 catches is totally on the board. And if we're looking at the elite ceiling of Austin Eckler in his prime, that's actually 100 catches. There is that history in the Chargers offense. Obviously different play caller, different player, much different coaching staff. It's all relative, so I don't want to go too overboard, but I think it is an extremely valuable stack. So we snipe Gohorns yet again. He does not get Ladd with Justin Herbert. I'm on the clock, though. I don't want to be far behind at receiver. And while I think he's a bit more of a floor play with some injury risk, the ceiling on Chris Godwin is way more valuable than just pick 90. So me and Huhames, maybe I'm not as high as Huhames is, but he's definitely talked me further into the argument. And among the receivers going in the 8th round, Godwin is one of the correct picks. No doubt about it. Godwin just needs to stay healthy, but volume is not a bad bet at all. And while maybe you're worried about that leg injury cropping up again, I don't think it's an offense worth fading. In the passing game, I trust Chris Godwin. The camp reports say he's looking pretty healthy, looking pretty good. Maybe it's just, Bucks reporters glazing their hometown team. Sometimes that is a factor. But I want to believe that they're honest and accurate. I don't want to have any semblance of bad faith going into those types of reports. So let's trust what we're seeing. Godwin apparently is looking very good. Obviously, Igbuka had that one-handed highlight in camp earlier. He has more upside. Definitely the clear number 1 receiver. But I don't think Godwin is that far behind from a volume standpoint. However, he's never had a season with 10+ touchdowns. He has gotten close, though, and I'm willing to just believe that last year, once he was fully healthy, he did have like a 100-yard game in one of those weeks. He's not usually the most targeted goal line threat, but still it's the Bucs passing game, and we don't really trust their defense. So let's bet on Baker, right? The Iron Throne, the FF Nerd, says 1,000% Baker going to bake this year, but Josh Allen can cook. He would rather have Allen than Baker, but in a contract season with Baker upset with his the offer that they gave him, didn't take it, wants to bet on himself. Maybe Baker just gonna really ball out this season. Hopefully he stays healthy. But David says, is Nakua, AJ Brown, Brees, Waddle, Sutton, Travion May, Harvey Nicks through 9 a good start? There wasn't a single pick you mentioned that I don't like. Maybe the Sutton pick is a little bit mid. I don't take it too often, but with Puka, AJ Brown, and Waddle, you can tolerate it. He probably still scores some touchdowns. And you also have Bo Nix, so the double stack makes it more interesting. The bring back with AJ Brown and Drake May, so building at that week 17 game, very fun. The defenses are a little underrated in that one, or at least, just straight up scary. I don't think typically you want to face the Broncos defense most weeks, but the Patriots can also give them a run for their money. That game's going to be weird. That's going to be very interesting, but I still like building it out. So you just got to avoid week 11s from here on out. It's doable, right? Yeah, absolutely. As long as you are conscientious of it, don't overload on it. You have 3 receivers with that week 11 bye. Actually, you might have all 4. Yeah, all 4. Interesting. Okay, I am on the clock. I think I'm going to build out. I think I'm just going to take Xavier Worthy. I don't love it, but I think I'm just going to do it because it's a bring back. It's the Chiefs matchup against the Chargers week 17. The format of this contest, you have to play the week 17 slate. You have to do that. And I think that's one of the highest scoring games on the week. I will take the Chief. Maybe it's the worst one to take, honestly. Maybe I shouldn't be doing Xavier Worthy here. He's actually banged up right now. I kind of regret it instantly, but I didn't want to take Kelsey again. I always build out Kelsey unstacked for this matchup, and I don't like taking Kelsey. I'm not a Kelsey fan, but he might just crush the Chargers like he always does. But yeah, my team is 100% the LA Chargers. It wasn't always the Chargers. I didn't grow up a Chargers fan. I actually grew up a Patriots fan by proxy of my uncle. It's easy to like a team when they have almost a near three-peat. When you're under the age of 10, it's pretty easy. But over the course of the years, I started liking the AFC West. I spent my freshman year of college in San Diego while the Chargers were still there. And once they moved to LA, I adopted them. I am a Charger fan, and I've embraced it a lot more the last few years. But some Charger fans may not like that I haven't been with them since I was a child. But it was not in the family. I think at least by choosing them, I've earned some Chargers fans' trust. But sweet, Jordan Mason's still here. I'm willing to do that for sure. I kind of just write it in as like almost a guarantee that Aaron Jones will get hurt. Jordan Mason has the contract. I don't fully trust in Damon Claiborne. I worry that they bring in like a James Conner. I think that could be very, very unfortunate and totally possible with the Kyler Murray connection. But assuming Mason stays in the role he has and they don't bring in James Conner, I love his week 17 matchup. He gets the Jets. That's going to be a blowout, if not a massive, massive offensive score. And if anything, they'll have a big lead in the second half. They're just going to run the ball, kill the clock. I see that as a big run game for the Vikings backfield. Jordan Mason week 17 feels like a very good play. On the road against the Jets, should dominate. But yeah, this is the time where August 4th. It's August 4th. In some parts of the country, it's August 5th already. August is where you throw ADP a little bit out the window. Maybe not go too crazy with it, but get your guys. If they're not going to make it back to you, get the guy you like. And then the rest of the draft, keep that mantra, but also try to get the bringbacks, try to take good values all of the time, and then structurally know the board well enough to push some positions around the turn and hopefully get away with it, because your opponents need to draft another position. Maybe you get lucky with a nice falling value. But what's my value on Hampton's receiving value this year? I mentioned it. The checkdowns will be very nice, but you're saying, I know the risks of drafting with a fellow Charger truther. Yeah, if I'm right next to you, odds are you're probably not going to get your boy most of the time. Especially a brand new contest I've never drafted in. I have to get my Chargers teams in while I can. But back to your original question, I think we're going to get 80 plus targets. I don't know about 80 plus catches, but I think 80, 82 targets this season for Hampton. Totally valid projection. Assuming he's fully healthy, that would be, I believe, about 5 per game. On a 17-game schedule, that's just under 5 per game in the target department. So some weeks it'll be more than others. There's going to be a week where they just don't need him like that, and he only gets like 2 targets. But there's also going to be some random weeks where like they are definitely going to need him like that and you get like a 9 target game, maybe even a 12 target game. I think there's going to be a few instances where he is just like the go-to option in the checkdown department, especially when they're in losing game script. I think that's going to be really, really valuable. Their defense, I don't think is going to be as good this season. So I would trust it. Here, I'm going to trust my rankings. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert above Andrews, above Likely and Ferguson. That's just how I rank it. That's how I see it. And with the Jalen Hurts stack, I just want to trust it. That's the bet I want to make. Give me Goddard 100% on this team, and I don't feel confident I would get him at pick 137. His ADP is like 134, 135, but I legitimately have no confidence that I get him even at 137. If y'all are watching and you know my tendencies, maybe I've sold you on Goddard straight up, or maybe you just like him in the first place. But if anything, you probably know this is not a lobby where you're probably getting Goddard if I already have Jalen Hurts. For someone who drafts as much Goddard as I do, I should probably have a little bit more stacks with Jalen Hurts, but it's because I like values later so much. That's kind of the nature of the position. But all right, we're back on the clock again. I kind of like the Tyrone Tracy pick a little bit, but Jake Ferguson's here. I don't have much of him myself. I'm just going to take him. I don't really love this round for running backs. I'm just going to trust the double anchor, and then Mason comes in pretty clutch. I've noticed you can kind of get away with not having, the insane depth at running back all of the time. There are some teams that perform very well with only 4 running backs and 3 by this range with the guys I got, just betting on them. I think it's fine, but maybe taking Tyrone Tracy was the better play there. It's perhaps the move I may regret. But I'm very in on Scatabo this season, and I kind of just don't really like betting against that. I feel pretty confident in the Scatabo bet. Tracy will catch passes, will definitely factor in, but I also like Jake Ferguson at this price. When he's past ADP firmly in the 12th and you have the long turn to wait, I think him versus like a Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange in the next round, I'll happily just take Jake Ferguson here. I think in this stage of the draft, the value is at tight end. But it's essentially the same thing as if I took Ferguson in the 11th and then got Goddard a little bit past ADP by like 1 or 2 picks in the 12th. It's all the same, but at least at 137, I'm much more willing to click Jake Ferguson. I will say that. But John Tara got sniped on Dart. Bummer. Dart has that rushing upside, so unstacked, it's not the wildest move. And he got Tyrone Tracy to make it back. Interesting. That's a nice fall there for Bong Dong 69. He's rocking the 3-4-5-1. Very balanced with Dart, Baker Mayfield, Bijan Swift, Travion, and Tyrone Tracy. Looks like he also took Daniel Jones there. He also has Rashee Rice, Igbuka, Quentin Johnston, Josh Downs stacked up, and Jaden Higgins. Interesting team from the 101. Not bad, honestly. Not too bad. I kind of want to take Gadsden to complete this stack a little bit. Like, not going to lie, it's a little tempting. I don't really know what to make of their tight end room right now, though. It's got some weird vibes to it. It's a little bit odd. I think I'll probably pass, but it is pretty tempting. Boston goes. Interesting. So receiver flying off the board. I'm glad I have 5 I already like, because yikes, that is not the play at this moment. Holy shit. If anything, I think I'm just going to take Tank Bigsby. I have no idea where Tank Bigsby's going to go in this one, but my next pick is 161. His ADP is not a lock to make it back. And this is get your guy season. We already have a bet on the Eagles. Tank Bigsby doesn't catch a ton of passes. However, I still just like getting another Philadelphia Eagle on this roster. Getting everyone but Saquon and Mekhi Lemon. I don't mind it. But I think Booty stays. At this point, probably. I think most likely. But AJ Brown, Dobbs, and Booty sounds fun. Yeah, I think the production they got out of Kayshon Booty last year, why would they not want it back? Obviously, he wants a contract extension and, you know, more money and stuff. He requested a trade, but sounds like he's there to stay, and Drake May has good chemistry with him. I expect him to stay. I do. But Austin says, imagine not giving me a Dolphins option for who wins the AFC East. I wanted to keep some integrity. I thought I might piss you off, Austin. It is what it is. Yo, what's up, Cash Feet? Nice to see you, man. Yeah, year 3. We're here for it. It's August, so time to lock in. This is a draft where we're just getting our guys. It's week 17 or all or nothing. Give me Zach Charbonnet. I think I'm going to stop at 2 quarterbacks. That gives me the luxury of taking a 6th running back. So this is definitely a Charbonnet team if I do that. My receiver room is looking pretty decent, but given how this lobby has gone, maybe I won't like my remaining options. Maybe I still want 8 of them. But even if I take 6 running backs and 8 receivers, the math checks out for me to stop with 2 tight ends. So we'll see if I go 7 receivers, 3 tight ends, or 8 receivers, 2 tight ends. I think I'm leaning the 2-6-7-3 on this one, especially with the name I just added in Zach Charbonnet. That is something to factor in. But there are some very positive reports on Tank Bigsby, not just as like the clear handcuff, but also mixing in with the ones in practice. It's possible that they want more of a committee this year, take some work off of Saquon's plate. And while he's not much of a pass catcher, so the stack is kind of irrelevant, I think just straight up weekly value, he might pay off this pick, not to mention all the contingent value if Saquon were to go down. Tank Bigsby needs to go higher. I still don't understand why he's not being drafted above Woody Marks. I think the argument for Woody Marks really is wish casting. While Tank Bigsby also involves some wish casting, the true contingent upside is clearly higher with Tank Bigsby. Even if Montgomery goes down, you cannot convince me that Woody Marks has more league-winning upside as the starter for the Texans as Tank Bigsby would have for the starter for the Eagles. You cannot convince me of that. Maybe I'm just too stubborn. But, yo, we got some gifted jewels in the chat. David Harris, I'm not sure what this is, if this is an emoji that you've unlocked, but you send me a super chat, I will put it on the screen. Thank you very much for the 200 jewels. Gotcha. The name of this thing is Jammin'. Interesting. Avi Hoffman also sending me 200 jewels. Appreciate it. I have no idea what this thing is. I have no idea the actual monetary value of this, whether it's nothing or maybe 2 cents or something. But appreciate it. It's the thought that counts. I appreciate it. I have no clue what that is. But I think I'm going to shoot for upside and just go with Terrence Ferguson. I like A.J. Barner a little bit as well. But if I'm going to go unstacked tight end this late, give me T-Ferg, the guy that can score a 40-yard touchdown any given week, like his skill set, like the breakout potential. We're betting on Stafford as well, not Sam Darnold. That feels much more interesting. And yeah, I don't want to go crazy on the value of T-Ferg, but I think the way I built it, we already have Jake Ferguson. We got double Ferguson, double Devontae, double Adam correlation. We are pairing up some similar names, some duplicates, if you will, on this one. A nice pair with those Fergusons. But Fancy Doc, appreciate the $3 super chat. There's no comment, so out of the kindness of your heart, you're a real one, Fancy Doc. You've been a fan of the channel for a while, and appreciative that you are here tonight. I'm on the clock. I've also kind of fell behind on the on the chat a little bit. But let's make this pick and we'll take a look. I got to update my ranks for sure because Ricky Pearsall, always there, never goes away, always there. Boy, receiver is gutted. Holy shit. Holy shit. We'll just go Kayshon Boutte then. We'll take a Kayshon share. Why not? Why the fuck not? If he's staying in New England, I used to draft him in like the 150s back in like February, so why not take him here at 185? But what a time to be a Charger fan, says Cashy. That roster's going to be fire. You would think so, but if you're a Charger fan, if you're joining the bandwagon this season, you better know we're cursed. You better know there's some curse. I don't know what it is. Some voodoo. Not sure what it is. We have avoided any semblance of it so far this offseason. I pray that maintains, but there's a world where you are very disappointed. If you're a new Charger fan, a true Charger fan is ready to get hurt every year, though. But so yeah, what a time to be a Charger fan. In August, it's always the best time. In August, it's the perfect time. But Coker over Shaheed and Diggs already feels like a mistake. Yeah, I probably agree with that. It's fine, but I probably agree with that. I don't think it's a massive mistake, but I see where you're coming from. Hoffman says, after round like 8, I don't know who the fuck to take. It's much tougher these days than it was a month ago, let alone 3-4 months ago. But it's basically a guessing game, but it's so key to find those late round steals. Yeah, that's why the folks who just go massive volume and just want like 8% of everyone have an argument to be said. You know, you're not going to know everything. There are going to be some misses, and to have a more wide blanket does help you achieve greater success. Even if you have a lot of bad teams, you should have some inevitable good teams. But that's a volume-based strategy. You know, not everyone has the budget to draft 3,000 teams. So at some point, you also just have to take your stances and live with the outcome. But Hoffman, I like Zay a lot more this season after his new contract. Yeah, the contract definitely a good sign. The new offensive play caller, also some shifting patterns there. That's also a good sign. But you also want to read some camp reports. And speaking of camp reports, apparently Jacoby Lane is the man. Apparently he was drafted above Elijah Surratt for a reason, and we should take him as well. Apparently he's lighting it up. And I feel like the number 2 receiver in Baltimore is going to be super valuable. They're saying it is Bateman. The contract would indicate it's Bateman, but I'm not totally sold. I'll go Jacoby Lane here. Mix it in. We have the 7th receiver, a nice rookie acquisition. One rookie, always a decent move, especially at wideout. But then this last pick will be a running back, I think. I think that's the way I want to play it. I could go Kimani Vidal in case Hampton goes down, but I just want to bet on Hampton. Maybe if I didn't have Hampton, I would do it, but not dying to do it on this one. I have every single running back has a different bye week, so that's positive. That's good. It's just a matter of trying to help my team advance. There's no quarterback that I'm desperately interested in. Damn, this Xavier Worthy pick feels gross. In hindsight, that pick probably kills me. But at that stage of the draft, it was either him or Jacoby Myers. I probably should have taken Jacoby Myers, actually. I think I would like my team more with Jacoby Myers than Xavier Worthy. Even with the bring back, it's not that compelling. But who knows? Who knows? We want some teams with different exposures. But Xavier Worthy 104 kind of feels bad. Katron Allen still here. The fat man, come on down. Ambiguous backfield, has a chance to win the job straight up. At worst, I think he'll be the main goal line back, which is pretty valuable in round 18. So by proxy to Jaden Daniels, all running backs become a little bit more valuable, but I am not a believer in JCM. There is some hype, though. Maybe I should start clicking him a little bit more often, but I don't think Rachaad White will relinquish his role, but I don't think Rachaad White will play well enough to keep Katron Allen or JCM, one of the two, off the field. There's no way Rachaad White is getting like 85% of the touches. That is impossible. Even like a 70% workload for Rachaad White feels impossible. Maximum, I would say 55 for probably anyone, but Rachaad White could definitely just be outplayed by someone else. So, all right, let's recap the team. I had pick 8, and I got a little bit different. At pick 8, I took Omarion Hampton. I paired him up with Derrick Henry. ADP's 14 and 17. So unless you're going to take one of them in the first round, you are not pairing up these two players together. It's unique. It is a little bit different. And also, I think it can hit. I'm not fully sold that we draft running back correctly after the first two. I think running back 3 is totally up for grabs this year. It should be CMC, but if he gets hurt, no one will be surprised. And it could just be Hampton. It could also be Derrick Henry. I might have running backs 4 and 5 on this roster. But I also have Jordan Mason, Tank Bigsby, Zach Charbonnet, as well as Katron Allen. We have some interesting plays, some nice advanced pieces. I think I trust Hampton and Henry just to get me there, honestly. But I love the contingent bets on all of my depth pieces. Maybe Charbonnet is just healthier than expected, but if he's healthy week 17 against the Panthers, I like that matchup a lot. So week 17, maybe we're one of the few Charbonnet teams left that's alive, and maybe that's my winning piece. Maybe that's how I take down the puppy. But Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, I worry about Hurts' playoff schedule a little bit. There's some tough matchups there, but typically he will help me advance, and stacked up with Devontae Smith as well as Dallas Goedert and technically Tank Bigsby, it's a very, very wise bet. I think taking him really fit the team. And then Herbert always fits on my rosters, but I believe he will be the MVP. Love his playoff schedule. Honestly, I don't think I need anything from Hurts in weeks 15, 16, 17. I think Herbert can literally put up top 5 numbers all 3 weeks, and I think I can win the pods with him. But the receiver room has double Devontae Smith, and Devontae Adams. We pulled up Adams by 9 picks, but by doing that, we get a little bit more unique by pairing him with another 5th-round receiver, just a little bit less common. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't think Adams needs to go in the 5th, given his touchdown production. The argument he's deserving of a 4th-round pick, I think, is pretty legit. So maybe more of a floor play, but very high floor, and it's only injury risk at his age. Otherwise, he's money in the bank. I don't mind it. I like this team. But Godwin, let's hope he stays healthy. I might have some tremendous injury risk on this team, then that might just be my Achilles heel, because Adams didn't finish the season. Watson never plays 17 games. Godwin looking old, and, that leg could be shaky. And then Xavier Worthy already banged up. He's kind of fragile. So that pick, I really think, might be what kills this team, this Xavier Worthy bet. But it's probably going to be all right as long as these other 4 stay healthy. But maybe Kayshon Boutte comes in and saves me. Maybe Jacoby Lane is the truth. Who knows? But I don't think I'm counting on Worthy enough to fully wreck this team. I just don't love it in hindsight. Other than the bring back, I cannot justify this Xavier Worthy pick. Honestly, I don't love it. If it was redraft, I would have never made it. Only in best ball. But tight end feels pretty solid. Goddard, a little 6-pick fall on Ferguson. Who cares? But, it feels a little better to take him closer to 140 than 130. And then the other Ferguson, the double Ferguson correlation, our boy Terrence with elite upside any given week. There's also a bring back against the Buccaneers and Chris Godwin. I didn't have a Niner on this team, so I don't have a bring back there. But bring backs are, you want a few, you don't need them all over the place. I think they're valuable, but at times they can be a little overrated. There should be more of a tiebreaker than something you have to force on every team, every pick, just for the hell of it. I'm fine with what we built on this one, but that Xavier Worthy pick feels like the wrong move. Otherwise, I like this team a lot. This team has a lot of juice, a lot of fun outcomes, and I think week 17 we got some fantastic matchups. The Chiefs matchup is not the best, I will say that, but that game I think will be a shootout. Henry against the Bengals, that matchup's elite. Last year it was, if not the best, it was top 3 against all running back positions, and then Henry just lights it up week 17. Mason against the Jets, we mentioned, pretty fun. Bigsby against the Niners, their defense probably not as good this season without Robert Saleh. Charbonnet against the Panthers, Katron against the Jags. That matchup sucks, but I don't think I need all 6 to hit. Just 2 or 3. We got some good bullets in the chamber. Katron more of an advanced piece than anything. But yeah, fun team. Fun team. Watson, though, has a terrible matchup week 17. I hope somebody else fills his shoes, because against Houston, I don't see it. But all right, let me take a look at who else is in this lobby. I'll give a few team reviews for sure. John Tara was in here. He's a member. He gets a team review. We have Gohorns in here as well. Yo, Jackson Duffy. Jackson Duffy's also a member. He gets a team review, saying the Smith Hurts stack is one of my favorites. Any stack with it is a good team. Appreciate that, Jackson. Yeah, the reach on Hurts, not ideal, but with Devontae Smith, totally justified. Plus with Goddard, it fits. Otherwise, so we got 3 team reviews to do. Jackson, Gohorns, and John Tara. I know Hockey Hooligan might be watching, but I don't believe you're a member. Let me know, Hockey Hooligan. I doubt it. It might just be a coincidence we're in the lobby together, but I don't believe you are a member. Let's do John Tara first. It's been a minute since we've taken a look at John Tara's roster, but Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, and Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. Very fun, a lot of upside, potential MVP candidate in Caleb, but perhaps a Madden curse. Brock Purdy losing Ricky Pearsall, kind of bad news, but it's the Niners. They'll figure it out. They made Kendrick Bourne look pretty good last season. I think Brock Purdy can figure it out without Pearsall. But Aaron Rodgers, always a solid pick, but at 191, even better. That's definitely a price I would take Rodgers. But Gibbs, David Montgomery, and Tony Pollard, very fun way to start. I like a balanced approach at running back here. I think this is, in terms of draft allocation, one of my favorite ways to do it. Round 1, round 5, and then round 7. Feels pretty sweet. But Dylan Sampson, a legit handcuff, but it's the Browns. How valuable is it? We will find out. Jaden Blue, pretty high upside if Javonte goes down. Very legit contingent play as well. Similar to my Tank Bigsby bet. Not bad, but I don't think he gets as many touches as Bigsby would. But he goes later. It's all fine. But London and Neighbors, a lot of volume. Holy shit. Michael Pittman with Rodgers is stacked up. That's nice. Coker at 122, a little early. Don't love that pick, but it's not insane. It's okay. It's a little expensive, and I think people pointed out you passed on Rashid Shaheed. You passed on Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would take Diggs and Shaheed over Coker myself, but without Chris Brazzell, that does bode a little bit better for Jalen Coker. I think him and Jaden Higgins can go at the end of the 11th as opposed to the beginning, but that's just a player take. In terms of like ADP and where you spent the capital, I don't think it's wild. If anything, it's a little more unique. Pair him with Jalen McMillan on the left side of the board. If you like him, we mentioned it, get your guys. I don't have a big problem with it. I don't know if I would rank it that way, but I have no issue with that pick in full context. But McMillan, Trey Tucker, Darnell Mooney, and Jade Walker. I have a few Walker teams. Has the best touchdown celebration in the NFL, so you would assume that'll be on display a few times this season. His Skywalker celebration, fucking lit. But Loveland stacked up with Caleb, there it is. And then George Kittle with Purdy. That's nice. I love the Loveland and Kittle combo. Feels very valuable. But at times, anytime I take Kittle, I kind of just want a third tight end. So not sure if... Honestly, Jake Tonjes, I think, could fit this team a bit more than Jade Walker. I honestly think Jake Ton just has some value, but you could have also just taken anyone other than like Darnell Mooney or someone. But receiver, I get having 8. I think that's totally fine. 5 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. Yeah, the build is totally legit. Not going to be upset with only 2 tight ends when you have Loveland and Kittle. But Kittle, a little bit of injury risk. Not going to lie. Always a little tricky, but with Loveland feels excellent. Good team, John Tyra. Very good team. The Rodgers at 191 stacked. That feels pretty sweet. Go horns in here. We got Allen and Cam Ward. That's fine. No issue with that. Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, Isaiah Pacheco at 160, and then Ray Davis at 184. Decent fall on Pacheco with Shioni Vaki going down. Maybe they bring someone in more likely, but if anything, it for the moment makes Pacheco a little bit stronger of a pick. But Lad McConkey, Cardinal Tate. Tate is stacked up. That's pretty nice. Tyson Alec Pierce. Pretty solid. Wan'Dale Robinson and Shakir. So the double stack in Tennessee. And then Shakir with Allen. You also have Skylar Bell stacked with Allen. And Keenan Allen. The Allen correlation. Maybe you should have taken Katron Allen as well. But I like the Keenan pick a lot. With Alec Pierce. Maybe some conflicting bets, but I don't mind it at all. Keenan at 201. Absolutely worth it. Fannin, Hunter Henry, and Greg Dulcich, though. Very legit tight end room. No complaints there other than I don't usually take Fannin at 105, but that's just me. I used to do it, and now that it's his actual ADP, I'm like, I still want a discount on Fannin, but he's probably totally fine. If anything, helps the team out a lot. Given the starting roster, it fits nicely. So good luck. Allen is always a little tough to advance, but at pick 40 with only 2 quarterbacks and Ward is the only other one. Honestly, this is one of the better Josh Allen teams I've seen in a while. Very, very fun team. And then the Titans bet also not bad to complement it. So good luck. Go Horns. I respect the team. There's really not a pick I disagree with at all, to be honest with you. They all check out. Nothing is wild. Very, very good team from Go Horns there. But lastly, we have Jackson Duffy in here. He has Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Keaton Mitchell, and Tyler Algier. I mean, if Mitchell's worth it, this team is lit. There's a world where Breece and Kyron just don't quite pay off because of the backups they have or just the Jets offense. And then, you know, if Saquon goes down, that's the team is just done possibly. But worth the bet. Totally legit way to build a running back room. At 34, I would have taken Breece Hall as well, probably. The fall on Breece with only Saquon so far. I almost took him myself, but I had Hampton and Henry. I wanted a receiver. So checks out so far. The Lamb, Dak Prescott stack, always valuable. Parker Washington at 63. Seems like he's going above BTJ now. Addison and Jacoby Myers. Matthew Golden and Tank Dell. Got the workout brothers on this team. Elijah Surratt and Torrey Horton. We will see on Surratt. I take him a decent amount too, but that Ravens bet is always kind of just worth making. You have no idea where the ball's going to go. There should be a lot of touchdowns. And then Horton I like a lot in the final round. Very good pick. But Andrews, Gadsden, and A.J. Barner. Very fun team. Very fun team. Yeah, good luck at running back. That's the only thing where I'm a little bit like, maybe these guys just don't pay off. But the floor of Kyron with Saquon, as long as they're healthy, that'll cover up any blemishes at a Breece Hall. And then you also just might hit gold with Keaton Mitchell. And Algier feels like a very valuable pick, given the handcuffs talent-wise. 159, he can totally pay off, 100%. Totally Algier. Makes a lot of sense. But, all right, I think that's all the team reviews, unless Hockey Hooligan is in here, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're just moving on. All right. I will give y'all a chance to hop in this one with me. We're going to queue up the puppy. I will give you guys a countdown. So bear with me. I'm going to try and catch up with the chat as quickly as possible, but I'm actually pretty far behind. But what's up, Anthony? Got your red badge. Yo, congrats. You're in the same addict tier as I am. But Go Horns, I'm extremely scared about my OG exposure. Sounds like Kolar and Njoku going to be more involved than I thought. I have no Charlie Kolar. I have a lot of Getz and Njoku, both pre-draft and regular season. Kolar better not be a fucking problem. But I do think Njoku is talented enough to be an issue. Jantaro really hoping Stribling would stay under the radar, but he's just defiably shot up. It feels a little bit expensive, but if you had a lot of him in his early price, it's got to feel very good right now. That's for sure. I didn't have a ton. Not going to lie. I have a bit of FOMO, and I'm not dying to click him at his new price, but I probably should. What's up, Fancy Dog? Number 21, like, we're at like 33, so I'm holy shit, I'm so far behind. Only charges you want is Herbie, Hampton, and Njoku. I think you can mix in Latin QJ with confidence. I don't think you should be afraid, but I understand consolidating it. It's not terrible. How many BBMs deep am I? I believe I've done 23, if not 24. Maximum 24. I have not done 25. I'm not going to do more than 40. And odds are I'll probably stop with like 32, 33, 35 maybe. I will hit 30, but I'm not totally sold if I go well above that this season. But David Harris sent me some jewels. Thank you for the jewels. Hoffman, I agree. Bigsby is a clear-cut RB2 or better if Barkley missed any game. Yeah, feels like it's always been obvious. I've always been the Bigsby stand. He's one of the best picks, if not the best pick on the board. But got him in 2 of my leagues. I don't know what this is, but you sent some jewels as well. Thank you. Yeah, if you can send it, go for it. We got Hoffman sending Unk for 440 jewels. Another Sunday for 100 jewels. Thanks, everyone. Feels like we're on TikTok now with that type of stuff. But as long as it doesn't cost you guys anything, send them my way. Who knows? I'll let you guys know if it actually helps me out or not. I would assume it helps. It's probably not worthless, but it feels like it's just worth virtual shit that you can't actually quantify most of the time. But all right. Thank you, David. Appreciate all the jewels. But yeah, you started the trend. Hopefully more people chime in if you want. But Jedi Loco is down for the next draft. Let's do it. We've caught up a little bit with chat, but we'll keep going. I'll draft the puppy in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And this next comment is something I don't want to see. I didn't see this. Please let him be healthy. Please let him be okay. Don't give me 2 seasons without Rashawn Slater. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm holding my breath too. If we can just get to week 1, I'll feel so much better. But that's not good news. I don't want to speak that into existence. But Chargers going 3-1 versus Kansas City and Denver. I think they go 4-0, but I think that's probably a more reasonable claim to make. You would assume they sweep the Raiders though. So that's 5-1 in division. Last year they were 5-0 with Herbert. I would assume they maintain that dominance. But Lime Green says he's bong dong. I just lucked into your stream. Love your show. Thank you, Lime Green. Appreciate that. Love your username. Very, very legit username. Totally worth it. But thank you for popping in. Appreciate that. Thank you for subscribing as well. But the Iron Throne might end up trying Drafter Survival tonight for the first time. Honestly, you might talk me into it. Honestly, I might be down for sure. That is one of the best contests available right now. The 75% advance rate every week, the survival on Drafters is totally worth at least 1 entry, if not maxing the contest. But Alex has seen a car driving today in Kansas with dual Charger flags out the window. Yo, it's fucking time. They can feel it. Bolt up, baby. Bolt up. We're going to make this pick, and we're going to take a rip from the pipe. We'll see. But Amon-Ra goes 5, so I've kind of accepted my fate. Whenever JSN falls, I just take him. Any pick past ADP, I will just take JSN because I faded him kind of hard to start the season. But honestly, especially when I get him at 6 or 7 or later, I actually usually like my teams a lot with JSN. Not gonna lie. At pick 5, it's more so a structural decision rather than a player take thing. But in round 2, if I still get a running back at 19, I'm gonna be pretty happy. I believe I will. I think I will. If not, I'll at least get like Brock Bowers. Should be fine. But Ricky P did me dirty. On a good note, I have a shitload of Debo. Yeah, I had Ricky Pearsall as like my 7th highest drafted receiver this year, and I had Debo as number 6. So it's all a wash. There's going to be some teams with both, and hopefully those Ricky Pearsall shares don't crater me too bad. But I had him at 13% in the regular season, a lot less in the pre-draft, but yeah, kind of unfortunate with Ricky Pearsall. The glass man. Unfortunate, but let's take a rip. I promised it. Let's do it. Let's smoke from the pipe. It's our last night doing that in a while. It's a little plugged, honestly. Just a little plugged. But there's still a few rips in there, so I'm going to save it. We'll figure it out. Yes, in theory, if you did draft the exact same team every single time, you can do this. In theory, you might not just win first, but maybe even all top 10 prizes, in theory. But Debo will be a strong flex play most weeks, I think so. Most of the time, yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, in terms of a fit, couldn't be better, but I'm definitely Henry over Achane. I will take Derrick Henry here with JSN. The ADP in this contest does have it flipped. Henry is going above Achane in this contest. Not Travis, but Devon. The correct Achane goes behind Derrick Henry. That feels very appropriate. Henry, I think, has always been a better pick than Devon Achane. But we're up to 36 likes. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate that. Thank you, Fancy Dog, for hyping up the crowd. But Debo could be RB2. I don't think he wants to be used that way. I don't think they're going to... I think at this point, with their injury luck, they're not going to really force him into that. He would get so banged up so quickly. I don't think they can afford to do that. He will get some designed runs for sure, but absolutely not the true RB2. But Washington backfield is like picking Joker cards to toss up who gets most touches there. Yeah, that's why not just take the cheapest one? That's my stance. I am mostly committed to Katron Allen. I have a decent amount of Rashad White. I don't have much JCM, but I've been willing to take it a little bit more lately and just maybe catch up to 8%. Or maybe like 6-5%, just so I'm not totally burned. Because he does have some individual game upside, no doubt. But he got the contract today. I'll take Zay Flowers. Let's build out a double Ravens team. Never upset with double Baltimore. It sets up Lamar Jackson, makes it even more of a safe bet. But sometimes you don't want all three in the same team. I'll probably stop with just Henry Flowers and Lamar, though, if that's what I choose to do. Jackson, you got me on Lane, but I don't mind taking Surratt. I have about 50-50 of those two when I have Lamar. Yeah, I don't think you want to full fade any of those round 18 Baltimore Ravens, but if the camp reports are correct, then it does sound like maybe Jacoby Lane is better than Elijah Surratt. After all, they did draft Jacoby Lane a full round ahead of Surratt. They took 2 this season, and Lane is younger. Surratt was a senior last season for Indiana, and sometimes age is the only reason why somebody goes around later than someone else. You know, longevity is a factor with the draft pick, but I do think Surratt has the safer floor. Lane has the higher ceiling if they develop him properly. But with a new coaching staff, new play caller, there is a world where the Declan Doyle offense does deliver a lot of fantasy relevant receivers. If anything, that is the main reason to be optimistic about Flowers. Monken is gone, and maybe, just maybe, Flowers scores like 12 touchdowns this year. It's definitely in the cards. If that happens, he would be absolutely worth this price and more. But the Jedi Loco, I don't know about Debo being running back too, but I'm sure there will be a scheme for him. Yeah, that's what I fully agree. Appreciate that, Fancy Dog. Solid team on that one. Yes, structurally, I think we were okay. Will we have the right players? That is yet to be determined. But I like the bets on that last one. This one's a little bit different. Travis is still here. I'm just going to take Travis at 43. I think some of the Alvin Kamara hype is a little overblown. Travis looked really good in camp the last few days, been catching some passes. Obviously, Kamara will factor in on the third down passing situations, but Kamara's old, been getting consistently banged up year over year. I am not sold that Kamara is even healthy in December, and that playoff schedule is pretty elite. So I like the Saints offense. Travis at 43 feels safer than Josh Jacobs, honestly. So I'm just going to take that. I'm not going to take him where he used to go in the late 20s, early 30s, but at 43, I'm not going to let him slide any further. I like the Saints offense a lot. But the Smith Hurts stack is one of my favorites, as Jackson. I think we already read that one, actually. But yeah, that team was decent. Derrick Henry still looks like he's 27. I know, the ageless wonder, right? I'm going to stop fading Derrick Henry. There's just some exceptions to all the rules. And Derrick Henry is essentially Frank Gore cross-pollinated with Bane. Like if you made Bane from the Batman franchises, that villain, into mixed him with Frank Gore, that's basically what we have with Derrick Henry. Basically. Any game he can score 2-3 touchdowns, and he seems to really turn it on in the month of December. Seems like when it gets to Capricorn season, nearing his birthday, he does show up big time when the weather gets cold. But Fantasy Dogs is LeQuint Allen. Katron 2. I have taken LeQuint, but if I do it on drafters where it's full PPR and round 20. But damn, Baishal Tutin is here. And one player I've been wanting to increase my exposure to lately is actually Baishal Tutin. You know what? I have plenty of Lamar Jackson teams with this combo. I'll just go Baishal Tutin. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams with a Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson. While maybe it's just the piece you need, if it is, it's going to be kind of a bummer because so many people have it. It is probably the most common, like, RB receiver stack that people set up. Like, it's way more common than any Joe Burrow combination. Some people build it out and don't take it. I am now one of them. But in general, someone that took Henry and Flowers is usually going Lamar. So I'll just be a little bit different. I can always just get this again. Like, unless Flowers just never going at pick 30 again, I feel like I can get the Henry Flowers Lamar combo pretty easily. So I actually think it's kind of lost some of its luster. It's a little bit less compelling. And honestly, I think the Jesse Minter defense might not require Lamar Jackson to be going completely nuclear. He always has some injury risk as well. I actually think there's a little bit of argument as to why he may not be the QB2, but I do rank him number 2, so this is kind of going against my rankings. I'm just valuing Baishal Tutin a little bit more these days because I did not slap it up on Baishal Tutin. Not going to lie, I did not overwhelm my exposures on Baishal Tutin. But we'll see what happens. But Jack Stuffy, what amount of drafts for each badge? The black badge is the lowest, and that threshold to cross is 500. The next badge is red. That's what I have. That's something you get at 1,000. I believe I've drafted about a little over 1,600. So maybe next year I'll hit the next threshold. That's the bronze badge. That's 2,000. And then up from there, I'm not totally sure how it goes. I believe the one after that is yellow at like 5,000. I think green is 10,000. I think silver is 20,000. I'm not totally sure, honestly, about the upper echelon. But yeah, red is 1,000. Bronze is 2,000, and black is 500. Those are the most common ones, for sure. But I am on the board here, and Tyler Warren is still available. He is here, but I've also been wanting to take a bit more Jordan Tyson as well. I already have the Saints commitment, so that's a team I like. Let's do that. I can always get a tight end. Let's take Jordan Tyson. But I will say, I do rank Tyler Warren above Tyson in my straight up rankings. That's actually not how I have it. So I'm going a little against my intuition on that one, but it's similar to the Beischel Tootin selection. I want to be increasing some of my exposures on some players that I feel like maybe I don't have enough of. And Tyson past ADP feels like a pretty solid bet. Drafted with the same overall pick as Tet McMillan last year. Meanwhile, he is 2.5 rounds cheaper from the price we paid on Tet McMillan last season. So history says you want those round one receivers in their rookie season, especially if they're drafted top 10. You can trust him. So Tyson at 67, I will just take him. On a team with Travis Etienne, the Saints bet makes plenty of sense. But the Jedi Loco is in the overflow at pick 6. I imagine the puppy is going to be filling very quickly. There may not be as many spots open in my lobbies. The overflow might be pretty tough. But Ruben saying jewels are kind of like super stickers. Get them a decent amount on my main channel. I think it's like $1 to you every 100. Oh shit, really? That's a much better return than I would have thought. A penny per jewel? You know what? If y'all have any jewels to send, hit the button. Honestly, that's pretty sweet. I am on the board here again. And similarly, I'm going to try and get some exposure to guys I don't have a ton of, but have been kind of wanting to take a little bit more. I'm not fully against DK Metcalf. I think he's fine. A little bit mid, but the Mike McCarthy defense might be dog shit this season. Meanwhile, the offense should be pretty high powered in the passing game like it normally is. So I'll take Metcalf. I normally have way more shares of Pittman, but I'll go Metcalf today at 78. Shout out Goofy Chicken Fantasy. We are going with his boy, DK Metcalf, at 78. The injury risk on Alec Pierce, Chris Godwin feels much higher. Jaden Reed included, and Jaden Reed isn't even the number 2 receiver on his team. So Metcalf should remain the 1. If not, he is the 1B. His contract guarantees Pittman cannot out-target him by more than like 10 on the season. If he is out-targeted by Pittman, it's like 136 to 133, something like that. But it's probably not that high for either of them. It's probably like 125, 120 in favor of Metcalf. But he's a fine pick. He's okay. I don't mind it here, but I usually prefer Michael Pittman. Michael Wilson goes 89. He's been moving up the board a little bit. Apparently, since that clip went viral of Wilson looking much better than MHJ, Harrison dropping passes, apparently Harrison has fucking lit it up since that thing went viral. But I have Beischel Tootin. He's a good pass catcher. At least he should be. And T-Law doesn't always fall, but I've kind of been the mantra. If Trevor Lawrence falls, just take him. I kind of want to take Downs, though. Honestly, I kind of want to take Downs. But I have Beischel Tootin. It's at least something. We'll get the 6-pick fall on Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, the tolerance break hopefully pays dividends. One thing I like about the tolerance break, it really increases your dream life. And as someone who sometimes goes like weeks without dreaming, it usually snaps back into rhythm when I take a tolerance break. So that's the main hope I have. I've also been coughing a little bit more than I'm used to. And as someone who grew up asthmatic, I grew out of it with puberty. That's kind of how asthma goes. If you have it as a child, you usually grow out of it during puberty. And it's not something that is a problem for me as an adult. The way it was when I was like 10 years old. But whenever it happens, it's kind of a sign that my body would like a break from the smoke. So I'm going to listen to my body. I will take a tolerance break. But at least tonight, we're finishing this last bowl. I have nothing left after that, though. We'll see what happens. But Ruben says, luckily I have 6% Ricky, 11% Mike, 3% Debo, and 6% Stribling, so kind of a wash for me. Sounds like you are low on the Niners. Sounds like you are not too high on the Niners. At least 11% Mike Evans feels pretty good, but only 3% Debo, 6% Stribling. It doesn't feel as good to chase them up the board when you didn't like them in the first place. But here we are in this round. I'm not taking Fannin, I'll tell you that. Don't want Fannin at all. If anything, I just want the stack with Trevor Lawrence. Give me Jacoby Myers here. I will take Jacoby Myers. I passed on him on the last team for Xavier Worthy. It felt wrong. And although Myers has been falling, I got him at 120 the other day. Consistently see him at 112, 115, 118. He is not a coveted option for whatever reason, but I think in terms of just money in the bank floor, I think he's a very solid pick where he goes, and I do think he will pay off this price. In general, the fantasy crowd usually underrates Jacoby Myers, but he's very consistent, a true professional, and it doesn't feel like a bad move. It just maybe doesn't have the same upside as you might be hoping for. I think it's a better pick in redraft in a managed league than it is here in best ball. But for the price, it doesn't feel like it's worthless at all. It feels like it's actually a very good value, especially if there's an injury to BTJ or Parker Washington. Myers should pay off. What was this? Wide receiver 46 off the board? Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe floor for Jacoby Myers to pay off. Wide receiver 46, 100% achievable with Jacoby Myers. And stacked up makes even more sense. I like that pick quite a bit. YFC Player says, how do you feel about the 112 pick this year? It's a pretty good position to be in. I think if you do get it, staying chalk with ADP isn't really the best play in general. Ideally, you get some good followers, but most of the time, I'd be willing to reach on a player like 5, 6, maybe even 10 picks on occasion. I do think anytime you're at the bookend, you got to get a little different. And that is at least something I want to emphasize when you are at pick 12. Have a more unique strategy. If there's one pick to like give yourself the excuse, I'm going to take whoever the fuck I want that won't make it back. It is at pick 12 or pick 1. The bookend is the spot to be for a strategy like that. So I endorse those types of moves, but also keep in mind the ADP fallers you get, and that also makes your team unique in the first place. But I like it. I think starting off double running back is a pretty safe play, and sometimes you still get like CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson there, so a balanced approach is also decent from pick 12. It's not bad, and you get really good quarterback values later in the draft. This one would be awesome if I pulled up Adams, but I didn't. So there's not that many stacking partners that I'm dying for. I think I'm just going to go Rachaad White. Actually, do I have time? No, I didn't have time. Yeah, I'm so used to never taking JCM. It didn't even cross my mind, but Rachaad at 115, that's a pretty solid fall. I don't see him there too often. So I'll just take him. The floor with Rachaad is pretty safe. But this team has really strong running back room. Maybe I fade it for the majority of the draft. Maybe I don't worry too much about the running back position the rest of the way. But Rachaad White, part of that tier break. There is a big cliff coming at the running back position. And he usually goes in the 9th round. So to get him mid-late 10th, not bad. Not bad at all. It also has a bring back against the Jaguars week 17. And I would assume the Jaguars dog walk the Commanders in that one. They should be up big time. So one reason why I really like Rachaad White is because of his pass catching role. And I do not feel confident projecting a lot of wins for the Commanders this year. Obviously, Jaden Daniels needs to stay healthy, but that offense in garbage time could be prolific. And I would definitely expect a lot of check down passes to the running back position. That's what Jaden Daniels did with Rachaad White at Arizona State back in college. I think that's the reason Rachaad White signed for only $2 million. He wanted to play with his boy for a discount. The Commanders are cheap as fuck at running back, but Rachaad has the pass protection skills to stay on the field. And in the 2-minute drill specifically, I can see him just rack up volume, especially if they don't even bring in Diggs. Like if it's just Terry Chigokonko and like Rashad White catching passes, like all due respect to Antonio Williams, but I think Rashad could have like a bunch of 7 catch games when they are trailing at halftime. All right, I'm back on the clock. I don't have a tight end yet, and I love the Dalton Kincaid value, so I will just take it here. No doubt about it. Dalton Kincaid, whenever he's here in the 11th round, I kind of insta-click him right now. I've been on a Dalton Kincaid tear. His price could easily be above Harold Fannin. Even Kyle Pitts, maybe just straight up with Laporta, I think would be legit. But if not for the injury risk with him over the course of his career, only 2 seasons, I'm not willing to completely write him off. That's really the only reason why he goes this late. But true upside is definitely more valuable than round 11. Alex Ott says, ever seen the movie Blood? That's Derrick Henry. I've not seen that movie, Alex. But if that is a representation of Derrick Henry, maybe I should check it out. Especially if Henry wins us $2 million or something like that. But Zach says, I have the 10th pick in PPR, 10-team league. Who would you target? Could you help me out? Thank you. In full PPR, if you're not getting CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, if you're going to pull up a receiver, if the camp reports stay positive, honestly, you could pull up Neighbors possibly, and it wouldn't be crazy. But the only receiver I'd be otherwise willing to do would be A.J. Brown. And odds are you can just take them in the second round. So I don't think that's wise. I would go running back, and I would favor pass catchers. So if we scroll up, I think Ashton Jeanty is a lock to catch a lot of passes this season. He did last year. I believe it was like 55 receptions, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. Jackson drafted Jeanty. Jeanty had... Oh, you got to search it. Jeanty... Yes, I'm correct. 55 receptions year 1, and we expect his production as well as usage to go up in the Clint Kubiak offense. So Jeanty's a great pick. I also like O'Marion Hampton a lot. The rumor mill says James Cook will catch more receptions this year, so he's a good pick. Saquon should be valid as well, but a little bit more downside in terms of injury risk. He's a bit older than the rest of them. And then Chase Brown is also elite, but I think I'd rather go Jeanty. At pick 10, I would take Ashton Jeanty or CeeDee Lamb, if available. But if you get stuck with Jonathan Taylor, it's not the worst thing in the world either. I am on the clock here, and I think I'm just going to... Damn it. I don't want Malik Willis. I'm actually going to go Sam Darnold. I don't love this. But the bet on the Seahawks, I think, is fine. We have JSN, so definitely worth a Darnold click. And I'm planning to take someone specific in the next round, so just getting a quarterback that makes sense on this roster, I think is just the best move. Just the safe, easy pick. We don't have the best quarterback room in the world, T-Law and Darnold, so grabbing a third is probably going to help me out a little bit. But I think with JSN, I'd rather have Darnold a little bit more than Willis. I'm fine with Willis, but when I was live with Hartman, I kind of felt a little naive to fully buy in on the Malik Willis thing. Hartman is not a true Malik Willis believer, and I'm willing to believe in Hartman's wisdom and not force it myself. But what's up, Jerry? How we doing? If anyone hasn't checked out Jerry Football, good friend of the channel, a true friend of the channel, not the Lindsey Graham type, but absolutely not. He says the dreams on a weed break are wild. Yeah, it's worth it. It is worth it. Just one vivid dream on a tolerance break is totally worth it. But hope you're doing well, Jerry. Nice to see you. If you guys haven't checked it out, Jerry's been a guest on this channel several times. I've been a guest on his channel several times. We always draft bangers, and I'm sure we will draft at least once, if not multiple times again, before the season starts. But we also have a bet going. That one's going to last hopefully till week 18. We have BTJ versus Parker Washington, straight up total points. As long as they both play 10 games, the bet lives on. I am BTJ. He is Parker Washington. That's a fun one. If I get sniped, it'll be a bummer. But even if I do, that's just the nature of the game. He's still here. I'm going Brenton Strange for sure. With Trevor Lawrence, I will take Brenton Strange. Stacked up. We will need a third, though. The double week 7, I can get away with, but I'm not dying to. I think I'm probably going to go with the 3-5-7-3. Receiver feels really good with the top 5 I have. I think 7 is totally legit. And then running back is so good with the top 4. Stopping at 5, I think, is the move as well. So one more quarterback. There's a guy I specifically want. And then one more tight end, probably just to stack up with that option. But I can also stack up A.J. Barner if I want. That's also an option as well. I do think Barner is a good pick. But the Iron Throne, I just didn't want to bet against the Substation. Can I draft that in best ball? Yeah, the Substation narrative, that seems like it probably has something to do with why the Niners are so snake bitten. It's just too many injuries for a theory like that not to hold any weight at all. Maybe it's not that overblown, but you know, it's hard to measure frequencies that we just don't see with the naked eye. There are elements of this that we just don't know. But maybe it's not true. Who knows? But if anything, watch out walking down the steps when you go to Levi Stadium. When you go to that stadium, maybe even just as a fan, you might pop your Achilles walking down the steps back to your car. But do you ever do draft challenges to force uniqueness? On occasion. Typically, the only challenge I give myself is what I call the anti-draft, and it's where 80% of the time I'm trying to draft players I normally would never take and I don't believe in, just to up my exposure. Just to say, like, what if I'm wrong on this team? What would happen? But an 11 pick fall on Tyjae Spears, I don't take much of him. I'll do it here, but honestly, I didn't really know exactly where to go on that one. Receiver is so gutted these days. Holy shit. Receiver is tough to draft at this stage of the board. So if anything, it makes the heavy receiver teams early feel even better. I think now that Debo is no longer a gift, now that Stribling is not an easy bet, you have to feel really good about some of these middle round guys, and there's not that many that feel really, really strong. So even Boston goes at 150 now. They have been moving up the board a little bit. So if you have strong takes on the final 3 rounds where receivers are dirt cheap, I think it's worth building a team where all you need is 2 of those, but your top 5 are in the top 100 picks. Like, to have 5 receivers through the 9th round, I think is pretty strong this season, especially if you have a good running back room as well. This team, I actually think, has a huge advantage because of how the draft capital was spent. I think this team is actually pretty fun, but we're not trying to draft receiver right here. There's not that many I like. Zachariah Branch apparently tearing up camp, so maybe worth pulling up. However, I mentioned to you I wanted 3 tight ends on this team. Barner goes, so that's kind of unfortunate. However, I also want 3 quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers is still here. I have DK Metcalf. Let's get that stack. I have a lot more Michael Pittman, Aaron Rodgers teams, but Metcalf is also legit. We will do that on this one. Rodgers with Metcalf as the QB3. This team mostly just has a main bet on T-Law, but in terms of price, it's so affordable. And other than an injury, we expect Rodgers never to be benched. He will play all 17 weeks in theory. That is an advantage. So here's the team so far. We have the 3-5-5-2. Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, and Aaron Rodgers on this one. Running back room has Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne at pick 43, Baishal Tootin at 54, Rashad White, and Tyjae Spears. We do have one double week 7 bye, but at running back, that's not enough to make me panic. I think we'll be fine in week 7. But at receiver, we have JSN, Zay Flowers, Jordan Tyson, DK Metcalf, and Jacoby Myers. Pretty fun, really strong up top, and that JSN pick is really paying some dividends because it makes this receiver room feel very, very competitive. And I want to stop at 7 on this one. But tight end, very high upside with Kincaid, and then it should be a pretty valuable pick. Good floor play, stacked up Brenton Strange. I like the touchdown upside for him. But in terms of just tight end values, he's going at a very appropriate, very affordable price. I like the Brenton Strange selection, along with all the tight ends in this round. Round 13 is like the sweet spot for tight end. I have 11 to 15% on every tight end that goes in the 13th round. I actually might have like 17% Henry at this point. But Henry, Gadsden, Juwan Johnson, and Brenton Strange all went in the 13th round on this draft. I think they're all excellent picks. All 4 of them. I would have taken Keenan Allen on this team for sure, so he is off of the list. That's kind of a bummer. Dulcich missed some time with an undisclosed injury, but doesn't sound serious. Sounds like he'll be fine. Gunnar Helm would have been a nice bring back, so I kind of wanted to take him. The Dolphins is not my favorite bet. And actually last year, believe it or not, the Buffalo Bills were one of the toughest defensive matchups for the tight end position. It was extremely difficult if you actually look into it. They were consistently an insanely bad run defense. That's probably the reason why they were so good against the tight end position. They were actually pretty bad against the receiver spot in terms of upside. But the tight end position really, really kind of cratered in terms of upside. In terms of the Bills matchup, it was not very good. So if that repeats this season, then Greg Dulcich draws a tough spot against the Bills. Obviously, projecting week 17 in August might not work out, but how many things changed for the Bills that would make you think that their defense will drastically be different? They did lose their head coach, so maybe that's enough, but only like a bunch of injuries would make that different. But if anything, it makes the run defense worse, and therefore you don't need to throw the ball as often to someone like the tight end. So I think that's the reason why. It's not that they like know how to guard tight ends so well, it's that they can't stop the run. And when you're in the red zone, if you can just hand it off and score a touchdown, you don't have to get too creative with it. Usually a tight end touchdown is because the defense knows your tendencies and you want to surprise them a little bit with the better matchup against the linebacker, someone that they're not expecting. So we got Rodgers and Metcalf. Let's add on Freiermuth. We have the Tyjae Spears bring back for a reason, I guess. If you told me Tony Pollard went down, I think I would trust Tyjae in the lineup quite a bit, though. I don't fully trust Singleton. I'm not totally sold. I've kind of flip-flopped on Singleton, not gonna lie. Back around the draft, I liked him, and then he got drafted by the Titans, and I was like, yuck. And I've slowly come around, but that kind of stopped in July. In June, I was more willing to take Singleton, but June and May were kind of the only times. I've not done it at all since July. But we'll go Tyjae on this one. I have a lot of Tony Pollard teams, so why not bet against it for once? But interesting, Dulcich is still here. Dulcich is coming back around. Interesting. These last 2 picks, though, I think need to be receiver. That's the position of need. And like I said, I don't think you want to full fade any of these Ravens wideouts. We took Jacoby Lane on the last one. Let's go Bateman instead. The contract indicates he is their number 2 receiver, and the reports say maybe that's going to happen again. But I had Flowers. Fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I kind of forgot. I had Flowers on this one. We took Lane because we had... Oh, no, I did not even have Lamar on that one either. Yeah, maybe not the best team to take Bateman, but one of those Ravens is going to be pretty productive. So who knows, but we'll see. Young Moolah says Jaden Daniels could easily spank Jags ass week 17, just like he did when went into Detroit in the playoffs and beat the brakes off of Goff and the boys. Daniels a stud. That is very legit, but they lost their center, Tyler Biotish. That's a big deal. Daniels often misses time. Last year it was, I believe, 10, 12 games. I'm a little worried about that. I don't believe that the Commanders are going to be in playoff contention. Their schedule scares me quite a bit. Their defense feels shaky. The garbage time, though, is a pretty good bet, and maybe they just win the game, and it's a big shootout. That is also another part of the equation. Maybe the Commanders do win that game, but I'd put some money on the Jags, honestly. I think the Jags can win the Super Bowl. The Commanders, I'd be shocked if they make the playoffs. But Best Bets Baller is on a 2-year weed break. Congrats, man. Congrats to you. Mad respect on the discipline. It's always tough to let it go, but going on 2 years, very respectable. I respect the sober lifestyle as well. But Alex says, I'm super high on that OG pineapple. I meant the movie Blade. Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with the movie Blade. Blood, I have no idea what it is, but if that was a typo, I've definitely seen Blade. I saw Blade when I was way too young to be watching Blade. I feel like I saw Blade when I was like 5 years old. Something like that. But Ricky Pearsall is still here. We could go Ricky Pearsall if we wanted. But instead, I think I'm going to try and get the bring back with someone. They're actually not that exciting. Shit. You know who's probably relevant? Christian Kirk. He is working on the side, did get banged up in practice, but it doesn't sound serious enough where he's just going to miss the season like Pearsall. But if you're going to tell me that Stribling is worth a much higher pick, I think if anything, Christian Kirk might be as well. Maybe that volume goes to Jake Tonjes. Maybe Kirk just stays unhealthy, but I'm willing to mix it in. Why not? Get a little bit different. I'll go Christian Kirk today. A $5 puppy team, not that much of a price commitment. I'll go Christian Kirk. I'm fine with it. But Case says, we do another puppy after this, brother. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask you guys. The poll has spoken. 57 votes, 70% in favor of Buffalo. 7-3. We did not include the Jets or the Dolphins out of the integrity of the poll. But I'm going to close that one. It's been heavy on Buffalo since we dropped that poll. I'm going to ask you guys. Next draft, the Eliminator or the Drafters Survival? And I'm going to give you the contest context. We're going to draft an Eliminator style. Are we doing Underdog again? Or for the same buy-in, are we going over to Drafters, or are we entering the survival contest? The advance rate is much more appealing. But if I had to guess, y'all are still going to tell me to stay on Underdog. But K-Space says 43 likes, 53 watching. Let's go get to 50 likes. We are up at 43. Would appreciate that if we hit it, but yeah, that'd be nice to smash that like button. I will blaze it. I will blaze it, Disbanded. I will. Let's do that right now. Probably only one hit left in this bowl. I'm already missing it just a little bit, but Wesley Snipes, of all contexts to forget the snipe. Wesley Snipe, the original snipe. But yes, Mr. Cuddy. Mr. C Kid I was being a bit sarcastic. I still have Pearsall in my rankings because I haven't updated them. But yes, he is out for the year. Underdog won't even let you draft him. Underdog will take him out of your queue, apparently, if you queue him up. But what's up, Alex? You are KS Cash. You are in here? I don't... Oh, yeah, you are. You have pick 11. How we doing? You auto-drafted Jackson Dart at 110. That's not bad at all. That's a pretty good spot to be auto-drafting Jackson Dart. But Keith says puppy, 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 puppy. Underdog prees. Pitbull. We did a Pitbull earlier with Who Hames. I kind of want to save some of my Pitbulls for my own time. But my man, Fantasy Dog in the house. What's up? Not familiar with that Drafters Survival. I'll have to check it out. Honestly, it feels like it's the most worth your money contest to join. Y'all are not feeling it, apparently. We have 6 votes to 2 in favor of Underdog, the Eliminator. But y'all are saying puppy as well in the chat. But just look at the advance rate. You really want to have a 50% chance to keep moving on? Or do you want a 75% chance every week? For the same money down, I think the Drafters is pretty appealing. But I know some of y'all have never drafted over there before. To set up an account is kind of annoying. Not gonna lie, it pissed me off the first time I did it. I had an Android, did not go so well. All right, let's take a look at who gets a team review on this one. I think Anthony was in this one, but not a member. Spurs G in the house. Good luck, but I'm gonna skip it. Fantasy Dog is in here, a moderator that hasn't drafted with me in a while. We'll take a look at Fantasy Dog for sure. Jackson Duffy and John Tara. Those 3 team reviews. If there's time, I might take a look at KS Cash and maybe Spurs G as well, but neither of you guys are members. So for the moment, I don't think I will. Odds are I won't. We'll probably just move on to another lobby. But Fantasy Dog, what's poppin', brother? You have pick 8. And you took Allen in the 3rd. It's been pretty easy to get him in the 4th lately. So I've been pushing it at pick 40. It feels way better than 32. But get your guy season. Go for it, I suppose. A 2-4-10-2. This one should be interesting. Goff, an amazing handcuff to anyone. The backup quarterback there with Goff behind Allen. Feels very strong. Running back, though, you had Taylor in the 1st. Javonte in the 4th round, Quinshon Judkins in the 5th, and then Mike Washington 209. Holy shit. That feels a little worthless. If anything, it feels like you were pushing to only draft 3. If I'm going to draft 4, I want more capital spent than just Mike Washington. But if Genty goes down, you are in business. Good luck with that. And if any of these 3 go down, I think you're just fucked. So good luck, my friend. I hope for the best. But that is a little bit thin. Not going to lie. Just a little uncomfortable for my liking. But you might be right. There is a world where you are right. And who knows? But receiver, you have BTJ, Chris Godwin, Michael Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Stephon Diggs, Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, Isaac Tesla, Zachariah Branch, and Keenan Allen. I would have swapped out one of these guys. I think you have good enough receivers through Diggs where Omar Cooper feels a little expensive for your team. It's unstacked. I think I would rather have a running back. Like, give me Keaton Mitchell over Omar Cooper. On this team, I think it would fit perfectly. Yeah, give me a Keaton Mitchell at 137 instead of Omar Cooper. But y'all are still sending Jules. We got Keith sending Unk. We got Anthony sending GGEZ. We got Anthony also sending Clutch as well in the... Yo, the Jules are popping off. Appreciate that. And then Bowers and Colby Parkinson. Very good tight end combo to have Bowers and then just wait forever and still get Parkinson. Not terrible, honestly. Yeah, I think the 10th receiver is just overkill. Give me the fifth running back. It's so valuable by comparison because Mike Washington, number 4. You could have used another running back. I would have swapped out Omar Cooper. Of all the receivers you have, I would just swap out Omar Cooper. I could also get a better tight end as well. I think that could also help you. So if you told me you swapped out Cooper, and I know Tesla is stacked, but whatever. Cooper and Tesla, I think for the price you reached on both of them, I would swap them out for a running back or tight end, and then just add on a receiver in the final round for more volume. But you're sticking to your guns. That's your strat. Excuse me. That's your strategy, and it is what it is. But the Allen teams always feel a little thin somewhere. On this one, it's shockingly running back, despite 3 in the top 5 rounds. Good luck, Fancy Dog. Honestly, the team's not bad. It's just like a little fragile, a little extra fragile. We have Jackson, though, in this one again. We have Daniels, Bryce Young, and Mendoza. Kind of thin in terms of depth, but if Daniel stays healthy, you don't really care. So good luck with that, but I think it's totally worth it. Solid quarterback room. Genty stacked with Mendoza, kind of underrated actually. But Chase Brown, very good in the second. Chuba Hubbard at 87. He has finally been falling. But good luck with that. Y'all know how I stand. I don't like Chuba very much, but now that he's going behind Brooks a few times, I'm willing to click it now that it's much less expensive. I've been waiting for the Chuba fall. It's finally a little more appealing. But Brian Robinson, Emmett Johnson, and Kalen Black. Good luck. Apparently Black also got hurt, but the Niners handcuff running back, usually valuable most years. But Emmett Johnson, I wouldn't be clicking right now. There are rumors he is well behind Imari DiMercado on the depth chart. There's some weird vibes on Emmett Johnson in training camp right now. So I want some really positive reports. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm not sure. But Egbuka, Terry Rome, Jaden Reed, Casey Concepcion, Rashid Shaheed, and Jalen Naylor. Fun receiving room. The Shaheed pick feels very strong. Concepcion got banged up, but apparently it's not a huge deal. Reed is spike week guy, but I prefer Golden at cost. Rome, Terry, and Egbuka, though, top heavy enough to feel like you have a very, very competitive starting roster. Fannin, though, let's hope for the best, but it is a Brown. We'll see if he delivers. And then Chigo Okonkwo, very, very legit pick, especially stacked up with Jaden Daniels. I like that selection a decent amount. So the Terry Chig stack, very nice. Receivers pretty decent. And then maybe not like insane stacks at quarterback, but enough to be worth it enough. The Chuba with Bryce Young and then Genty with Mendoza. All in all, you're just betting on Jaden Daniels, who also has a phenomenal playoff schedule. I love the playoff schedule for Jaden Daniels. Just worried a little bit about him staying healthy. That's kind of my only gripe with Jaden Daniels, and that can happen to anyone, so it's not that big of a deal. But I prefer Drake May for that reason over Jaden Daniels. But with Terry, it's definitely the right pick. Definitely the move with Terry. Let me catch up with the chat real quick and then get to John Tara's team. He was in the last lobby, so you'll wait just a couple more minutes, and then I'll get to it. But is the opinion that drafters are sharper on drafters than on Underdog? I'm not sure. I think maybe it's just people don't have an account there and they're afraid of change. The one time I did a drafters exclusive live stream, I had a poll question on, are you guys excited for drafters? And the answer that won the poll was, I am afraid of change. So I think that's all it is. I think they're just not drafting there yet. And maybe for that reason, maybe this point does check out. But it looks like Eliminator wins the poll. I'm not trying to do a $20 buy-in tonight. We'll do one later, but tonight I'm going to keep it a little bit more affordable. But it is what it is. Go Horns, because I don't know who be going and making an account. I almost didn't do it. It took me a while to cave on drafters, not going to lie. But K-Space just signed up a few days ago. It, I think, is worth it. Especially, shout out our boy Who Hames has a code. You get your first deposit fully matched up to $100. So that's what I did. I deposited $100 with promo code Who, and in my account I had 200. And I'm not sure I make another deposit this summer, but if the Survivor takes a minute to fill, I will absolutely hop in that quite a bit. But Smoke Time, I'm gonna save it. Cave Space, we just took one a few minutes ago, but Calvin wants the puppy. Some of y'all do want the puppy, but I think we're going to pivot off the puppy for just a sec. We'll do some more tomorrow for sure. But you're welcome, Fancy Dog. Always appreciate you in the lobby and the chat. Thanks for being a moderator since day one and a true OG on the channel. Shamrock, what's up? Nice to see you as well. Also a longtime viewer. But if you want, you've hyped this up, Disbanded. You've mentioned the care package. You can send me an email, Disbanded. Send me an email or reach out on X. Something private where we can chat. I'm never going to give you my address on the live stream. But no worries, Fancy Dog. The running back room may be a little fragile. But sometimes that's what you need to win the contest. But been smoking some African Fire and Black Ice tonight. Sounds pretty legit. I can't say I'm familiar with African Fire, but I think I've had Black Ice before. I think I'm a fan. I'm pretty sure I've had it before. But K-Space, we're going to do an eliminator. It looks like the poll has spoken. The eliminator is the choice, but there were a few votes for drafters, just a few. But yeah. In general, Underdog is the main event for casuals, especially this time of year. Maybe if this was like an April draft, it'd be different. But at this time of year, I wouldn't expect too much different. But it's worth trying. I love that contest. I definitely want to do some more entries in that contest. But no worries. Let's yeah, hit me up, Disbanded. We'll see. We'll see. Let's review John Tara's team and then move on. Final team review as promised. From the 12th slot, we got Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. Totally fine. Lamar at 61 feels excellent. James Cook, Saquon Barkley, Rico Dowdle, Chris Rodriguez, and Jaden Blue. Very nice way to build out a running back room. Like that one quite a bit. The Barkley bet, obviously I have a lot of Bigsby myself, but the Eagles running back situation is one I want to trust for sure. T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Carnell Tate, Golden, Tucker, Flournoy, Wicks, Lane, and Savion Williams. A lot of receivers on this one. How many is that? That's 9 of them, I believe. Yeah, 9 receivers. Feels pretty loaded. I kind of like it. Kraft and Goddard. So Kraft, along with Golden and Savion Williams, all stacked up with Jordan Love. An interesting way to play it. And then you also have Lamar Jackson, the bring back with T. Higgins, but no one stacked. You do have Jacoby Lane, actually. That's pretty fun. But yeah, very fun team here from the 12th slot. Honestly, I think this team is very, very good. The Higgins and Waddle combo feels excellent. And then Tate still there at 60. Always a nice pick. But even the depth, very legit depth. Very fun team. I like this team a lot, actually. Can definitely see the way that one wins it. But I will say, Lamar Jackson only stacked up with Jacoby Lane. That may not be the best play, but I had those double Ravens, so like, what are you gonna do? I think it's totally fine. But if the quarterback you need week 17 is Jordan Love against Houston, I'd be pretty shocked. I'd be pretty shocked if Love actually wins you Best Ball Mania or any contest for that matter, given the Texans matchup. But Lamar is obviously the main bet. Let's hope for the best there. Let's hope Saquon also stays healthy for the sake of this roster, but not for the sake of my Tank Bigsby shares. All right. We are entering the Eliminator. This will be my 8th entry into the contest. And I don't know if I'm going to do a ton of these. I'd rather spend $10 on drafters, actually, in the survival contest. But it's all... At least here on Underdog, if you do make it to like week 10 in theory, then you will make a lot more money than if you only made week 10 over on drafters. The overall payout structure, there is more money at stake, I believe, in the eliminator, and that's also valid. But this contest is actually on rate to fill pretty quickly, up to 68%. And especially once there's preseason games going, there's going to be a lot more slows that are entered. So I think you want to get in before it closes. I at least want a dozen teams in this contest. This is my 8th. So let's get it going. Drafting in the eliminator in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Vamonos. 4 spots if you want in on the eliminator. Come and get it. But how we doing? We got a Savion sighting in that one. Yeah, for sure. But cheers. Cheers, brother. Chargers better start the season 2-0. If they don't, that'd be insane. I think they start off 3-0. I think they also beat the Bills. I think they're going to beat the Bills. I'm not sold that they beat the Seahawks in week 4, but I think it's a lock that they beat the Cardinals week 1. That would be such a disappointment if they lost, but they should win. And then they also absolutely should win against Kirk Cousins and the Raiders. Maybe Bowers and Genty find a way, but I believe that game is also at home, and they should definitely win both of those first 2 games. So they're a pretty good pick in this contest. Even that Bills game, I think, is pretty solid. The early season schedule is extremely important. 50% of these teams are going to be out after week 1. We have pick 12, so a good spot to take double running back. That's probably the move. In the eliminator, they get much more expensive, so I'll probably just do that. But we'll see. Don't want to lock myself into anything just yet, but K-Space is in here. Space Cowboy pulled the 11 slot. Chris DeGod at 10. Big Dog BL at 9. Dogan at 8. Zaz at pick 7. Leafs 69 at pick 6. And then Super Beast at pick 5. Maddie 617 at pick 4. Maddie Beans, actually. KS Cash is in here again. And then Detrimental at pick 2. Our boy Gohorns did draw the 101. He's about to be on the clock. Good luck, everyone. Good luck. But Lamar Jackson, fire, ice, chicken, chicken, chicken. I'm honestly not totally sure what you're saying. I can't tell if you love Lamar Jackson or don't like him. I'm not actually totally sure. But the last team you drafted was my favorite one. You did easily. The one I just did, this last one, in the second one in the puppy, it was not bad. It was not bad. But yeah, next to you, I'm sure I'm getting sniped several times tonight. But the 101 Gohorns just takes Gibbs, not worrying about the later bye week. That's really the only reason to go Bijan at the 101. But yeah, I'm at the 112. It's the opposite of the 101. But Anthony says, thank you for not reviewing my draft. They've been known to upset some people, not trying to do that again. Well, at this stage of the summer, I don't think I'm going to give out as many free team reviews as I once did. Before, it was kind of to get the reps in, see a bunch of other people's builds, but for the sake of time and for the sake of my voice and just like, the content, if y'all are willing to pay for it, absolutely. But if not, it might just be worth my time to just move on and draft another team. But if this was a BBM, I might have been just curious enough to look. I think in BBM, you might get a free team review. But in general, other than the members, probably not going to do it as much. I love Saquon in this contest. His first 3 weeks are phenomenal. That schedule's really, really good. And then I'm also just going to pair him with Omarion Hampton. Another elite start of the season schedule. Those first 3 weeks, I think I have 3 insane running backs to start. For Hampton, it's Arizona, Las Vegas, and the Bills. For Saquon, it's Washington, the Tennessee Titans, and the Chicago Bears. The Bears were actually a pretty good matchup for running backs last season. Pretty bad for receivers, but for running backs, it was a good spot. So Saquon, week 10 bye, Hampton, week 7. In this contest specifically, if I'm taking Hampton, I am not going to take James Cook. I'm not going to go double week 7 bye. I almost took Derrick Henry for that week 13 bye. That's not bad, but I do think I trust Hampton's early season schedule a little bit more, and I also think they're going to see what they have in the year 2 first rounder. They're going to give him, I think, the full reins possibly at the beginning of the year and see if he can handle it, and then maybe start to mix in Keaton Mitchell a little bit more if he's just not delivering. But early season, love the first 3 weeks for Saquon and Hampton. And then in the eliminator, given the running back strategy, much more expensive, I also like the double tap at RB. But I'm going to save it. I only have 1 hit left, K-Space. I'm going to save it. But do I use ESPN or Sleeper at all, or just all on Underdog? When I play in the regular season, I typically use ESPN. I think their app is pretty decent. For the Iron Throne League, I'm going to have to get used to Sleeper. I'm not in love with that. The change is not as fun, but yeah, I'm going to do 1 league on Sleeper this year in Managed, and then I will do 2 of them on ESPN in terms of Managed Redraft. But I don't play Dynasty. I do a lot of best ball, but only the last couple years have I been a little bit more on the volume side with Underdog. But for some people, I don't do as much volume as they would like. I'm not too crazy. I only have a red badge after all. And the first time I drafted was in like 2021. I drafted about $125 worth of teams. Back in 2021, it slowly expanded. This year will definitely be my highest budget, but we have Underdog to thank. Shout out the site credit they gave us back in February. That was clutch. That was awesome. At this stage of the season, though, we're drafting on my own dime. But take Cook and Barkley. I go Hampton instead. It's my Chargers bias. But Cook is a very legit pick. He goes immediately after the Space Cowboy at 14. Very legit pick. No issue with that. But good to know, K-Space. Good to know. I'm going to close this poll, though, because this is absolutely our last draft of the evening. And after this one, I will be checking out. Let's see. We have any team reviews in this one? We have Gohorns again. KS Cash, our second draft of the evening, but not a member. Super Beast is in here. What's up, Keith? Nice to see you. We also have Space Cowboy, but otherwise I don't think there's anyone who is a member. It's just Super Beast and Gohorns who get the team review. I mean, I might take him if Space Cowboy passes. I never take him, but I do think this is the contest where an elite floor at tight end is kind of valuable. And it's a super late buy, so if anything, it's even more interesting. Sure, I'll go Trey McBride on this one. I will also take Zay Flowers. I will also go Zay Flowers. Flowers a little bit up and down at times. On occasion, he does not even give you like 20 yards sometimes. But in general, he's a very safe play. Going to probably have like 1,200 yards on the season again. And then we mentioned the Declan Doyle bump. Plus the week 13 bye in Eliminator. I'm kind of shocked that both McBride and Flowers made it back to me just because of the nature of the week 14 and 13 bye. That's usually a huge tiebreaker for people. So later season, always better. If you make it to week 14, you make a lot more money than week 7. So maybe you just don't want the tight end there, but At pick 12, I'm not going to let McBride fall into the 4th. I should have probably taken him just for the screenshot. McBride in the 4th would have looked kind of nice, but the forethought of that did not strike me. We go McBride and Flowers. This team feels pretty fun. And running back is already kind of flying off the board here. Montgomery goes 44. I'm a little surprised. He's usually the first one off the board in round 4 because of his playoff. His week 1 schedule early season is really nice. It's not the playoffs in this contest, but he gets the Bills week 1. That's an elite matchup. And then I also think his first few weeks, he's also looking pretty good. But Saquon Hampton, Trey McBride, and Zay Flowers on this team feels pretty legit so far. I'm going to play some music. I haven't played any music tonight, so let's bring that in actually just for the vibes to close it out. Let's bring in the background music. But damn, Waddle fell to 47. What the fuck is going on? This is a weird lobby. Holy shit. The receiver position gets pushed, doesn't it? K-Space sucks week 14 bye, though. It's the qualifier round before the finals. I mean, yeah, if you make the finals, you get more money. But you know what you get more money for? Making week 14 at all, as opposed to week 13, week 11, week 12, week 10, week 9, week 8. You know, week 14 is still a pretty nice price tag in terms of payout. But every player has a bye. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I think I can also just plan it out where I have another good tight end for week 14 as well. You can also look at some matchups and maybe hope to get it right, but I'm probably drafting 3 in the first place. I'm not worried. I'm not going to complain about a week 14 bye. If anything, K-Space, I think you're reading too much into it. I think you might be overthinking it. Later bye, the better. The longer you can advance, the more money you will make. And everyone has a bye, so you're going to miss something. I wouldn't worry about it. But you did take Ladd. Pretty solid pick as well. But I don't have much McBride at all, so to get a share of him when I never take him feels kind of nice, honestly. Feels kind of valuable. But Christian Watson's still here with a week 11 bye. I like that quite a bit. A little volatile, but I need receiver points. I will take Christian Watson. And then I think I'm going to trust Rome Odunze a little bit more, but maybe this is... Actually, no. In the Eliminator, I actually think Jadarian Price is pretty interesting. Y'all can't hear it, but my neighbor's dogs are going fucking crazy right now. Fucking wild right now. So I'm not sure what's going to happen at running back. Wow, Herbert goes 62. I think you could have probably gotten him at 83, Space Cowboy, but that Chargers early season schedule in the Eliminator, I think he's totally worth the pick. So go for it, man. I love to see it. Now you're getting on my good side. Now you're just trying to make me excited. But Herbert at 62 with Ladd totally justifies the Ladd selection. But gotcha. Yeah. I appreciate you letting me get different. I have so few shares of McBride. It feels fine to just mix one in randomly at a really good price. But yeah, you don't want to let receiver dwindle too far. Maybe I am behind the 8 ball by not taking a receiver instead of Jeremy. Maybe I should have just taken Carnell Tate. Perhaps, but we'll see what happens. We shall see. I never expected Herbert there at 84, but at 83, I think you could have gotten him. Maybe this draft will be different. I haven't paid too close of an attention on the Eliminator ADP. But, yo, I'm going to be straight up with you. K-Space, you can chill. You can chill, okay? Like, it's nice and all, but you can chill. Are you in on the Tootin hype this season or nah? At this point, I got some FOMO. I think I'd rather go Chris Rodriguez, but it's fine. In round 5, I think I like Bishal Tootin at this point. It's totally fine. But you think he's so hyped up, not going to lie. I'm just taking Judkins, Scat, Swift, ETN, all those types over Tootin every time. If it wasn't the Liam Cohen backfield, I don't think I'd be in. But that's the one thing I don't want to be fully out on. I don't want to fade that too bad. I think you should mix in some Tootin. Just because it's Liam Cohen's system. That's all. All right. Dak, I think, is an interesting eliminator pick. Even unstacked, I don't really give a shit. I think consistency is solid. Plus the week 14 bye. This is kind of the format I want to take him. I do kind of worry, though, about his injury history. We'll see how long he stays healthy. But Space Cowboy might totally snipe me. I think he has Lamb. No, he doesn't. He has Jefferson. He goes Sutton. He takes receiver. I'm going to go Josh Downs, the week 13 bye. Definitely an added piece of the equation. But receiver is also just like really dwindling. And I know I'm going to like some receivers in the next one. So I will go Downs for sure. And then I'm actually just going to go Pittman. I think the floor of Pittman every week, true eliminator-ass pick, but no way he makes it back, and I like him a lot more now that Ricky Pearsall is unavailable. I'll go with the floor play of Michael Pittman at 85. I only had Flowers, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, and Michael Pittman so far, so let's just stay balanced. We took the elite onesie, so I think being a little bit slow to take our quarterback position isn't the worst move. I probably double tap it at the next round, but with a Saquon, Hampton, Price, early season production should be there. We got the elite floor at tight end, and then receiver room. The floor, at least, is pretty solid, but there is also some high spike weeks with Flowers and Watson. But, okay. Excuses, but Word says Hoffman. Do you mind that I call you by your last name, Hoffman? For some reason, Avi is not as like easy to say. I don't know why. I don't know why. But Avi says Flowers, I say, has 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. Even more yards. That's interesting. I don't know if I'm willing to go up on the yardage. The touchdowns, though, you think should safely increase, right? You'd think so. Michael Wilson goes after Pittman, Mekhi Lemon at 87, Jaden Reed at 91. But damn, running back is flying. JCM at 94? Holy shit. I would never do that. I mean, that's just me. I might miss hard on JCM this season because he does have some explosiveness, but damn, I would never take JCM at 94. No offense, KS Cash. That I would love an explanation on that because that is high. With Corum still on the board, I mean, I guess you're assuming you just get the starter in Washington, but damn. That would scare the shit out of me. Alec Pierce still on the board. His injury concern is kind of relevant in the few initial weeks. So if you can advance an Alec Pierce team, that'd be pretty solid. But the volume isn't always elite. It's more so just like how many yards he can rack up. And if you're telling me he has a foot injury that limits him the first few weeks, it probably lingers for a minute. But Alec Pierce 102, that's pretty interesting. All right, we got Gainwell. I could go double elite tight end with Pitts. Myers is an eliminator as pick. But I don't have any quarterbacks, right? I don't have a single fucking quarterback. Kyler goes. Stafford feels like an eliminator as pick. Definitely. Week 11, solid. Nothing wrong with that. And then I think I'm also just going to go with like Bo Nix. Yeah, I'm just going to double tap quarterback. I think it's kind of critical, actually. Give me Matthew Stafford and Bo Nix at 108, 109. Structurally, very sound move. Pitts would be nice, but with McBride, it's not necessary. And then, while I like Kenny Gainwell a lot, definitely would have taken him. I'm not really interested in Tyrone Tracy there. No offense, Space Cowboy. I'm also not that excited about Aaron Jones in the eliminator. He's maybe a bit more valuable early season, but with the guys I have in the schedule I really like and trust, I think I'm okay. Meanwhile, just having those two really strong quarterbacks that I know what I'm going to get with, like in terms of total points, I should have two top 10 quarterbacks. Unless Stafford breaks his back again, I really trust him. And then Bo Nix had like 300 plus points last season. So 2 years in a row, Bo Nix is really, really strong in terms of total points. Let's assume that helps us. But this is not a contest I think you have to stack. While, yes, it's a little bit relevant, I think it's more so relevant to just keep building out your starting roster well. And at least in that regard, I think we've definitely mission accomplished so far. But, okay, you don't mind Hoffman. But I'll try and say Avi. But on occasion, it's just kind of what pops out to me and it's like easier to read sometimes. But, glad you don't mind. Avi saying Lamar's going to feed Zay. Who else is there? He can spread it around. And for whatever reason, Zay just doesn't score touchdowns historically. So unless that just drastically changes, somebody else is also going to get fed. I'm not exactly sure who, but the touchdowns I think will rotate consistently between Andrews, Surratt and Lane and Bateman. Even Tez Johnson I think will mix in a little bit. It wouldn't be that surprising if Lamar Jackson threw like 35 touchdowns again. And if only 7 of them go to Zay Flowers, which would be, I believe, a career high, you know, maybe there's still a lot for other guys. But Anthony thinks the overflow is better than my draft, I believe. But get a QB. I needed QB there for sure. BTJ in round 5 is early as fuck, says Avi. Where did he go in this one? He went 58. Interesting. Yeah, in the eliminator, I might not like him as much, actually. Just from the volatility standpoint. But I'm a little surprised that the buys weren't as important in this one. Maybe there's just a lot of badge lists that are not factoring it in too much. But the week 7 buy, the week 6 buy, the week 7 buy. not as afraid as some other lobbies I've been. Sometimes I see Watson go like way earlier, and it's like so obvious it's like just because of the bye week. Some people put a lot of emphasis on the bye week. It's fine, but it's more so just like I want a bunch of different buys than like overlapping buys. So far, I have a lot of week 11 and 10. 3 players in week 11, but all different positions. And then 2 players in week 10, but also different positions. So those are the 2 I might need to fade a little bit more moving forward. Perhaps we don't care too much. But in this format, I'm actually inclined to go with a Keaton Mitchell. You may think this is a little bit odd, but I actually think in Eliminator specifically, the pro handcuff argument is actually pretty interesting. And it needs to be the right team, but a valuable one like the Chargers, I could totally see Keaton Mitchell hitting my lineup a random week when Hampton just gets vultured. So I will do that. My receiver room might need some help, though. And I assume Diggs is going... Actually, nah, let's just go money in the bank. Let's know exactly where he's going to be. I'm going to go Debo first. I know where Debo's playing, and I know that the bye week will not overlap. I have 2 in week 13, but it's late. And Debo in week 8 just doesn't overlap. So I will trust Debo in the Niners system. They need receivers to step up. And at least the volume is a pretty safe bet right now. Shanahan, not afraid to run him into the ground either. So I'll go Debo at 133. I am totally fine with that. But hello! Batwheat's in here. What's up? Nice to see you. Hello! Once again. I will say, though, there's a world where maybe Debo's not, like, the best eliminator pick. Just for the reason that he used to be much cheaper. And this contest has been open, what, since May? I believe it's been open all summer. I don't think they waited to drop it. But, Debo, in this contest, there's going to be some teams that have him in the 170s, maybe even 180s. And that is relevant, but ultimately I need the right pick. I also, you know, the luck of the pod only matters for 1 week, but just having the right picks on your team is also very strong. So right now, Debo will be going above this, and I'll take him here at 133. I almost took Diggs. I like Shaheed, but another week 11 bye, I wanted to avoid it. Diggs, I think, will go to the Commanders, and you get week 7. But that's not a lock. He could go somewhere else, and I might get screwed on the bye week, perhaps. So that was the main tiebreaker. I think they're all good picks here. If you wanted to go Shaheed or Concepcion, or even Jaden Higgins, who fell, I think that's totally fine. But right now, I'm drafting the Niners receiver 2, and that feels way more solid than even the Commanders receiver 2, who at the moment is just a free agent. But I was the last drafter to take a quarterback. Honestly, that's not a bad strategy at all. That actually makes me kind of confident a little bit that my starting roster's really good. And I do like my quarterbacks quite a bit. Stafford week 1 gets that Australia game. That game should be really fun. They lit it up in London last year. I would assume Adams goes off again, and the Niners defense is not as scary this season. So I like Stafford week 1. And then who does Bo Nix play week 1? I believe they are facing... Honestly, I'm totally drawing a blank. I want to say, like, the Jags or something, but that feels way off. I don't think that's right. The Broncos... Oh, they're at the Chiefs. They are at the Kansas City Chiefs. That game should be relatively close. Bo Nix off the ankle injury, going to be motivated to play well. In division, he usually steps up in that rivalry game. Monday night primetime. Okay. Yeah, we get the Friday Australia primetime game week 1. And then if somehow we are just not getting enough at quarterback, we will still have the Chiefs matchup to fall back on. But looks like quarterback just got depleted. Damn. Even Geno off the board. I might just go Rodgers because he gets the Falcons week 1. But I think first I want Denzel Boston. I've been trying to click more Denzel Boston right now. And maybe in the Eliminator it's not as difficult to get. I reached on him by 9 picks, but he's been getting a lot of hype. He's been looking really good in camp. Just so I have 3, I typically want 3. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. I have Trey McBride, so I think I can afford it. I'm not desperate to go with Jacoby Brissett. Honestly, I'm fine passing on Brissett. But Avi's shorter, but for the sake of syllables, they're both 2 syllables, but it's his first name. I usually don't love when people call me by just my last name. So, yeah, I would agree, Avi. Zay is definitely due, but just because we say please doesn't mean we always get it. But Debo's going to run and catch the ball. Great pick. He feels like a very valid pick. Totally valid there. But Maddie making sure the quarterback position is thin and that I am stuffed in a locker. That is too small to fit me. Is Maddie sniping you on QBs? Let's see. He took Lamar and Joe Burrow. He took Mahomes, but you passed on. Oh yeah, you got snuffed. You got burned there, Go Horns. Good luck, man. Cam Ward and Bryce Young, though, a decent consolation prize. Bryce Young at 145, though, feels a little brutal. Who does Bryce Young play? Hosting the Bears. That's kind of bad. The Cam Ward matchup, though, is against the Jets. That should be nice. And then Jackson Dart against the Cowboys. At least week 1, you should be fine. But let's hope that for the course of the season, that's good enough to keep moving on. So I'm glad I took Stafford and Bo Nix. Even unstacked, I'm really glad I did not get boxed out. That is the luxury of pick 12. There's always guys that you trust and like at the 9-10 turn. There are always good quarterback picks at the 9-10 turn. At the worst, you're going to get like Kyler Murray and Jared Goff, but usually Baker's always there. Sometimes Goff is usually there. Tyler Shuck is also an option always. Like, there are usually very, very strong quarterbacks at the 9-10 turn. We get Stafford and Bo Nix. That feels excellent, given what we could have been stuck with. But Rashee Rice only had 1 catch over 25 yards through the air deep. I didn't realize how much he loved slot and short routes. He is a PPR scam. I think he's more valuable in full PPR, but still, the scam still applies. You want the volume bet. It is relevant, but points are points. You know, if it's 10 catches for 115 yards, you're not going to be upset, man. You're really not going to be upset. So, while yes, that is a factor, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it. I don't think it decides your fate. But coming back at the 15-16 turn, the team has a 3-4-6-1. What's tight end looking like? I could go Hawkinson maybe, but I don't really want to. I'm glad I took Keaton Mitchell, honestly. Running back looks gross as fuck. Running back is brutal. Damn. Even Dylan Sampson goes. I'd probably just take 2 tight ends here, possibly. I think the Terrence Ferguson pick with Stafford makes a lot of sense. I also like Barner, but it's the same buy. However, McBride is different, so I don't want to overthink that. But I kind of also just want to pull up Keenan Allen as well. I'll go T Ferg. And yeah, I'm just going to go Keenan Allen. Might just go to the Colts, and we have both Josh Downs and Keenan Allen, but in that scenario, I actually feel pretty solid about it. We get a useful option every week, and that would kind of be an insurance play on our down selection. If down just doesn't pay off, it's because Keenan nukes him. But I still think Downs is getting a lot of positive hype, and it does look like he's going to be really involved in the offense. They moved off of Pittman because they really trusted not just Pierce, but also Josh Downs. But obviously, man, I hope Rice proves it for a full season, can be a PPR monster. Yeah, if I was in full PPR, I'd be slamming Neighbors and Rashee Rice in the second round, if not the... I mean, there's a world where we get to late August and you're drafting in your home league and Neighbors is a first-round pick. Totally on the board, especially in a full PPR league. Totally possible, but good luck with everything, Avi. Thank you for sticking with us this evening. I'll catch you next time. Appreciate you. Deuces. We are only 2 picks away, and I told you I was saving our final hit for the end. I was not going to forget, but let's take our final rip. It's time for a smoke break. Our last one before the tolerance break. This one actually has some sentimental value. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Where's my lighter? There it is. Not much, but it gets the job done. I'm not sure when I'll go back to it, but that's our last hit on stream and in real life for, I think, a couple weeks, honestly. At least a couple weeks. But you were picking Hawkinson way before your stack. Maybe in the eliminator he feels a little bit better just because of less volatility, but I still don't really like him. I still think he's kind of a bad pick. Plus, the week 6 bye is pretty early, too. Paired up with Likely and Tyler Warren on this team. You have Warren, so you don't give a shit. But you had Kyler, so there's also that. Good luck, Space Cowboy. I'm very concerned about TJ Hawkinson this year. I don't like the pick at all, but there was a time when he was a top 2 tight end, so maybe it's still in his bag, but I think that helmet to the kneecap, I'm not convinced he'll ever be the same. I worry the injuries have just depleted his athleticism too much. It's a little hard to trust. A little bit tough, but if you like him, gotta trust your gut, gotta trust your intuition. If anything, it was a nice falling value. At 179, not bad. But so far, I have 2 picks left. My receiver room has Flowers, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Debo, Denzel Boston, and Keenan Allen. I think I'll stop at 7, but I could mix in an 8th if I want. McBride and Terrence Ferguson probably checks out with just 2, but if McBride has a bad game, I could just be out. I need another running back. 100%, I need another running back. I kind of want to go with like James Conner in this one, honestly. I kind of like the James Conner bet a little bit, but no guarantee he plays at all. Katron, I think, is another valid pick here. I could go Holani to pair with Jadarian Price, but not dying to do that. I'm going to go Katron, I think. I think so, but Actually, nah. Nah, I'm going to go James Conner, actually. Yeah, I'll go James Conner. Back on the clock immediately, though, and I think we're just going to stack up Bo Nix with a Pat Bryant. I think the volume is a pretty decent bet. Should be involved quite a bit. The stack is totally valid. And also, I don't have another Week 10 buy. At receiver, I kind of want to go Colby Parkinson, but he actually went off the board already. So I will go Pat Bryant instead. Get that 8th wideout. I think it will help me a little bit because, Watson's a little volatile. I do have some good floor plays, but like any elite ceiling can help me. And if Bryant scores a touchdown, I think he could really hit the lineup nicely. So we'll get the stack. We'll get at least one. And here's the team. Stafford paired up with Terrence Ferguson. Bo Nix stacked up with Pat Bryant. We just took him. And then Aaron Rodgers, I almost forgot, but he actually is stacked up with Michael Pittman. We actually have some stacks on this Eliminator team. So some upside also baked into this team. Saquon Barkley, Omarion Hampton, Jadarian Price, Keaton Mitchell, and James motherfucking Conner. I'm basically requiring Saquon to stay healthy for this team to win the whole thing, but every week I have the Chargers' most explosive running back, and that's going to be very valuable. Jadarian Price should be lit in the beginning of the year. Our boy Bayou yesterday liked Price in the Eliminator, and it does make some sense. I also believe Conner will play this season. I don't think he remains in Arizona. I think he will get released and move on, play elsewhere. I think both him and Trey Benson will be on the move. I'm only interested in James Conner. With that Shione Vaki injury, maybe, just maybe, the Lions are interested, but I could also see him go to the Vikings if you told me Aaron Jones got hurt. Zay Flowers, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, as well as Pittman, Deebo Samuel, Denzel Boston, Keenan Allen, and Pat Bryant. This team is also making a big bet on tight end, hoping that Trey McBride is just the man you need. And honestly, I kind of like it. But week 14, we're locked into just T-Ferg, and I hope that pays off. But I think we'll be fine. In a 1v1, I'm willing to only have these two tight ends. Because honestly, even if I had a third, there's really no guarantee at all he hits the lineup ever. The floor is pretty high with McBride for him to crack it. And then Ferguson is one of the few guys that has the ceiling this late that really could. So I like this tight end room a lot. And then receiver feels pretty solid, pretty deep overall. Running back, I think odds are I kind of only get 2 every week, but I think I like my chances actually with this team. This team feels fun, very competitive, some stacks that make sense, and maybe an extra running back could have been helpful, but hopefully Jadarian Price is just a really good flex play. And maybe Keaton Mitchell might save my ass a few times on this one. I think that's actually a fun combo in Eliminator to go Hampton and Keaton Mitchell. Actually feels pretty fun. All right, that's my team. Let me know what y'all think of it in the chat. The 3582 from the 12 with a rare McBride at 36. We also had Gohorns in here. He's a member. Looks like K-Space wanting a team review if I had to guess, but I mentioned it earlier. The team reviews in August, only for the members. Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, and Bryce Young. I think it checks out. I think it's okay. It's pretty mid. Once Dart gets hurt, you're at huge peril of just getting eliminated instantly. But at least week 1, I think you made it out of the pod at quarterback. And if you got boxed out, that's just kind of what you need. But I do think that's the problem with pick 1. You can very often get boxed out at quarterback if you don't take one at the 6-7 turn. That's where I think Caleb would have been a very good pick for you. You reached on Godwin, who I do think is valuable in this format, but I do think a Caleb Williams instead of Godwin might have given you a little bit of more confidence. And like, who's to say that like Jalen McMillan won't just outscore him, who went 1 pick ahead, so you wouldn't have gotten him either. But Stribling versus Godwin, possibly you get a lot more games out of Stribling. But the pull-up on Godwin, I don't mind too much. I just think it's kind of being stuck at pick 1 getting a quarterback early does help you a lot. But got insanely lockered at quarterback. Should have taken Love. No, you're saying Caleb. But you wanted Herbert. Herbert went at 62. You never had a chance at Herbert. Yeah. Good luck. But I think that's maybe what I would have done differently. I think I would have gone Caleb instead of Godwin. Or instead of Pollard. That also checks out. With Gibbs and Kyron, I think you don't have to take Pollard. So one of those two could have easily been Caleb Williams, and I think you don't feel the same about the box in at quarterback. Because if you don't take one at pick 96, 97, then you are totally playing with fire that you don't get someone you like at 120. 120 can definitely be a very risky play to assume a quarterback you trust is still there. So, yeah, hindsight always 2020, but that might have been the move I would have gone differently with. Running back, though, has Gibbs, Kyron, Pollard, Rashad White, and Marshawn Lloyd. Very fun room. Totally worth it. Pickens, Tet McMillan, Godwin, Golden, Dobbs, both of them falling is pretty nice, actually. Judy at 169. I prefer him a little bit more for later in the year as opposed to the Eliminator, in all honesty. He might get spotlit for a trade, but they also might not give a shit and just trade him without ever looking good. I talked myself into Judy for a bit. I've actually talked myself out of it over the last 48 hours. But a fine click. The veteran should be worthy week 1 of some usage, especially if Concepcion is actually pretty banged up. Judy could be a great pick at 169 for the sake of week 1 if Concepcion is out. But Fields on this one, a bit of a gamble, but high upside. Last pick of the draft, stacked up. I don't hate it, but it is a little tough to buy in. For the sake of the Eliminator, not my favorite pick. Especially now that Neighbors looks healthy. I think all the Giants round 18 feel pretty brutal. But Loveland, Strange, and Freiermuth, so still wanting the third tight end on this team. I can respect it, but I don't know if you need it. I don't know if it's necessary. It probably gives you more points, though, than a guy like Fields. So late round tight end usually contributes 7 picks past ADP. I understand just taking Freiermuth. He's a good floor play, but Go Horns think you should have gone 8 receivers. Yeah, with Loveland, it's not critical. Like my team with McBride. I could have gone with that third tight end, but looking back on it, I don't regret not taking the third tight end. Just betting on Loveland is also a pretty strong move, because Strange is also pretty good pick in general. But you're welcome, Go Horns. Thank you for being a member of the Blunt Rotation. There is Keith in this lobby as well. Keith, also a member. He has Drake May, Baker Mayfield. Pretty high upside. Love the Drake May in this. I think the floor is awesome. But I will say week 1, Drake May could be a low advance piece because of the Seahawks matchup. So you played it very wisely. You looked at week 1, or maybe you just lucked into it, but Baker should crush week 1. Everyone's healthy, and he's also at the Bengals against Joe Burrow. That's going to be a great spot for Baker week 1. So love the risk mitigation with Baker week 1. You have to leave the pod. 6 of us are not making it out alive. So I like that second quarterback a lot on this one. The Cincinnati Bengals week 1 matchup. Very valuable with Baker Mayfield. Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery. Pretty solid there. J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Brooks, Jordan Mason. The only issue I have with it is the cost. It was pretty expensive. Jacobs at 29. That could be costly. It's just the nature of the Eliminator. However, Montgomery at 44. That's pretty solid. Definitely a little discount compared to early season Montgomery ranking. Dobbins at 77, more valuable in the Eliminator for sure. And right at ADP, it's just kind of the price you have to pay. And then Brooks at 92, that's kind of where he's just going now. So that's fine. But Mason at 101, you have a strong group of 5. And the running back room needs to be solid, especially if you fade it until the 3rd round. So In totality, it makes a lot of sense. It just check out. I'm a little worried the cost is too much, that the other positions are lacking, but so far the receiver room looks very top heavy. It's not bad, but JSN, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, then Coker, big fall off to Coker, but Jaden Higgins at 140 could be a really good steal. You did take Stribling, not afraid of the rookie because of the situation. I get it. I took Debo, though. I think I prefer Debo over Stribling. Tesla and Cyrus Allen, some interesting contingent plays. The Cyrus Allen bet, probably worth making, but yikes. Tight end looks scary. Upside with Gadsden, but at the moment, no floor guaranteed at all. Apparently, he's actually running with the threes because the man can't block. But Otten is a solid floor play, but only that. Otten has extremely low upside. You are mostly betting on an injury at receiver for Otten to work out. And even if Godwin does go down, they drafted Ted Hurst. They even have Tez Johnson, and then McMillan's not injured. I don't see the value of Cade Otton on this team. I think the tight end room is actually very gross. Compared to my 2 tight end build, I feel amazing. This one scares the shit out of me. I don't think you have anything locked up other than like a 4.5 pointer out of Cade Otton week 1. You could get some consistent Bengals out of Gadsden. If tight end burns you, it's possible you don't make it to the money weeks. It's possible because of tight end, you don't make it. But running back is not the problem. Quarterback is not the problem. Receivers, pretty decent, honestly. I have no issue with receiver. It's just, oh, you also have Eric All. I didn't even see Eric All. For whatever reason, it didn't scroll down. But that's also major gamble. Good luck with that, my friend. But tight end could be a big Achilles heel on this one. But Gadsden also could just be a top 10 tight end as well. There's also that scenario. If he can get out of the doghouse. But yeah, if Kolar fucks me, I'm going to be so fucking mad. Oh, God. I really don't want to take any Kolar to close out August, but I think I might have to. I might have to just because I have so much Gadsden and Njoku already. But yeah, the camp reports are not positive at all for Oronde Gadsden. Very, very scary, actually, for the moment. But 8th receiver instead of last tight end. Yeah, that could work. But this is only my 5th eliminator, so I'm still learning this contest. Yeah, if you don't know the schedule very well, then the contest can be tricky. The ADP has not adjusted, so there are some very weird ADP quirks going on. But I think overall, if you can just like look at the first 4 weeks of the season and try to see which teams you like the most, like look at every team's just first 4 games, the month of September. That's really kind of all that matters for the sake of this contest. Making it to week 5 and then just letting the Lord decide who advances and who doesn't. And the only thing you can kind of do beyond that point to decide your fate is just ignoring like overlapping bye weeks, trying to get as many balanced buys as possible so that your full roster is not missing, 6 players in like week 7. That's kind of a nightmare. That's what you have to avoid. Otherwise, you just really have to focus on getting to like week 5. Once the buys start, it's totally up to chance in my opinion. But when you do the math, by week 2, let's see, there's 196,000 entries into this contest. Let's just say 200,000 for the sake of math. Let's make that easy on us, shall we? Let's say 200,000 people are in this contest. By week 2, that's down to 100,000. Less than 100,000 people are still eligible week 2. That's over 98,000 people eliminated in just week 1. So you better fucking make it out of the pod. And then you still don't make any money until at least like week 4, week 5. And it's still pretty low. So you want to try to make it to at least the $100 range minimum, the $200 range. The $1,000 range is really fun. I believe that's week 11. Yeah, that is week 11. And so if you can push the buys later, that's going to help you hit that $1,000 payout. But I think as long as you can make it to week 5, you've done your best in this contest, because by week 3 it's down to 25%. By week 4 there's only 12.5%. If you're still alive in week 5, you are one of the top 6% of this contest. And for the sake of math, that's only 12,000 teams still eligible by week 5. Compared to how many started off, that's not many. So I think you really want to emphasize early season production and look at those first 4 weeks for all the teams in the league, identify which ones you really like, and keep in mind, some matchups as well. All right. We are, I think, done with team reviews. I think so. Nobody else, I think, is a member. So I think I'm just going to say goodnight. I think we're going to let it go. And I'll catch up with the chat real quick. But my ambitions of a Rida. Cool. E-Rec says Josh Jacobs has been falling lower than he should, but pick he should be worth pick 29. 100% the legal issues shouldn't be a problem. As long as he's not suspended, then that's where he went to start, back in February, back in January. That's where Josh Jacobs was going. He was very unproductive from a yards per carry standpoint, but all the touchdowns were still there. So if you're right, as long as there are no legal issues that penalize him this season, then you might just get away with it. Honestly, for the sake of your whole team, I think it was totally fine. I had no issue with it whatsoever. The running back room felt very strong, and then receiver also felt very strong. The team checked out. But Go Horns, I'm at the point where I don't think it's an if in regards to Kolar being your worst nightmare. I sure hope you're wrong, bro. I really hope you're wrong. That's the one stack in LA that I don't have much of, but I just don't see it. I think he's only there to block. A random touchdown for sure, but he's not going to be the top target at tight end. I just don't see it. But what do I think about Tet versus Egbuka? I would go Egbuka unquestioned. I think Tet is a little overpriced at the top of the 4th round. He should fall to the late 4th. He's fine at pick 45. I don't like Tet at pick 40 or 38, 36. I'm fine with Egbuka at pick 30. So definitely Egbuka for sure. But Gohorn's going to have to click Kolar in every draft as a blanket. I really don't want to have to come to that. Please don't jinx me. That's my version of the Chargers curse, if that's what happens, because I have about 25% overall on either Gadsden or Njoku. Total, I have 13% Gadsden, 10% Njoku, and then I had a shit ton in the pre-draft when they were both more expensive. So I am very, very committed to Gadsden and Njoku. Please do not tell me that Kolar kills me. But what's up, Jamie? Drafted in the middle of the night, but woke up to take a piss and got the bonus nice and blunt drafting. Well, it's almost midnight. Y'all are up much later than I am on the central time zone. So it's the end. We're done. But yeah, I would hate to go inverse as well of how I normally draft. All right, that's going to be it for me. Had a good time tonight. Appreciate y'all for popping in. And thank you for sending those jewels. I have no idea what they're actually worth, but fun to see them in the chat. Appreciate y'all for letting it rip with those. And much appreciated. Hope everyone has a good evening, and I will see y'all tomorrow. We have a guest tomorrow. Gonna be a fun, interesting collab with Professional Fanatics, another member of the Iron Throne League. Have never met him before. He'll be live on my channel, I believe at I think 7 p.m. Either 7 or 8 p.m. I'm not totally sure, to be honest, but we're going to draft 2 teams together for an hour and a half, and then we're going to go live on his channel. So we're going to do a little double collab with the Professional Fanatics, and that should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, look out for it. I will definitely probably post on Twitter as well, the precise time, but you'll see the thumbnail, you'll see the timing. We'll be live tomorrow evening. with professional fanatics. Should be a fun time meeting someone new. But all right, I'm out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. E-Rex says, dang, drafted Tet in the 4th out of pressure over Egbuka. Regret it a lot now. There's a world where Egbuka doesn't pay off the price, but I think I trust Egbuka in Tampa with Baker a lot more than Tet in Carolina with Bryce Young. It's more of a quarterback bet than anything else, but also I like that receiver 1 in Tampa quite a bit. If you had asked Hames, I think he would have a different answer. Some people don't feel the same about Egbuka, but I like him quite a bit. You're at 27% both. Yikes. That's a lot for the Chargers tight ends. But if Jerry's live, I'll add him to the redirect. I'll send y'all over there. Oh, interesting. I gotta ask him in community settings. Okay, I'm not sure about that, but I'll get the link for y'all. I'll get the link. It's midnight, and Jiri is live. Send him Blunt sent you. Send him Adam sent you his way. But yeah, shout out our boy Jiri Football. Head over there. Great takes, good drafts, fun times. I believe he's coming up on 500 subs as well. He's getting pretty close, if not already cracked it. But I'll be there. I'll be in the chat for a little bit before I go to bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.